Well, if you were on the right account, stupid.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode 208 of Salvaggio and Cratty here for you again on Wednesday, September 11th, 7 p.m. on the dot. Um, it's all football tonight. There's some Red Sox stuff going on, some Roman Anthony news, a few hockey notes, a couple minor things in PTO season, but nothing too crazy. Um, and nothing really in the basketball world. It's been pretty quiet there. So it's all football all the time tonight. Um, and yeah, without further ado, Ryan, we're coming off a win. How are you feeling?
Do we have a football season? I think we might have a football season to talk about. Isn't it crazy? Like
I
we're
know.
getting into it with the game preview. Like jarring is not the right word because usually you think of jarring like something is like bad or scary sometimes, but like that was borderline jarring at how well the Patriots played in that game, and on the flip side of it, how bad the Bengals played. Like I was very very shocked. Like I said, we'll get into kind of more of our thoughts after the usual studs and duds, but that was pleasantly surprising to say the least on Sunday. Quite thoroughly enjoyed a Patriots game, and I can't really remember the last time I found myself saying that.
Yeah, it's been a while for sure. Probably like first time since that Bills win at home that I was lucky enough to be at.
Yeah, probably. It's a
But
yep, good call, good pull.
yeah, but they win 16-10 in Cincy, going on the road as a bad team, or what was forecasted to be a bad team. Didn't look too bad. They went 16-10 on the road against Joe Burrow and the Bengals. I think they're 1-5 in season openers in the last 6 years now in Cincinnati. So they struggle in week one, and that continues. Only 10 points against the Patriots, who one of their calling cards in games they're going to keep close was going to be their defense, and they showed it in this one. So let's get into studs and duds, which for both of us start on the defensive side. The
Yeah, and how can
return of
it
studs and duds.
absolutely. You need like a little jingle or something to play in the background. Yeah, and like you said, starts on defense. How can it not when you hold, like you said, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase? Yes, they do struggle at the start of the year, but those are two very good players. Cincinnati's still a very good team, or is expected to be one. And you got to start with the defense when you hold that team to 10 points. I'm going a different route in the defensive back department. I'm going to go with Jonathan Jones here. Might not be the obvious pick to a different corner that played really well in this game. But Jones, I thought, had a sneaky, quiet, good game. 3 tackles, was 0 for 3 in coverage stats with 1 pass breakup. Had that awesome hit on the 4th and 2 play, which like I feel like Jonathan Jones, you don't think of a guy that's going to lay the hammer on someone, and he did coming from the secondary to hit. I think it was Iosivas is how you say that guy's last name.
Yeah, let's
He
go with
he lit
that.
that guy up, which was crazy to see because again, you don't think of Jonathan Jones as this, lay the boom type of corner. Was good to see, and a guy that obviously we expected a little bit from. Or was kind of curious to see how he would play. Dealt with injuries last year, kind of didn't really have too noisy of a preseason. You didn't expect him to or anything like that, but just a solid Jonathan Jones performance, something you've kind of come to know and expect from him. It was good to see him get off to a hot start.
Yeah, and as a whole, I think a lot of the leaders, not all of them, showed up. I'll talk about one I don't think showed up, but yeah, and Jonathan Jones is one of them. That one big play you mentioned, good way to make a guy that needs to step up a little bit in T. Higgins' absence and with no Tyler Boyd, a little uncomfortable with that hit,
For sure. Yep.
and just was pretty good in coverage. Like, can't ask for too much more than that. I will go with the more obvious pick, though, Christian Gonzalez. 20 routes run against him from Jamar Chase. 3 catches, 15 yards, and he also added 2 tackles along the way there. Somehow got a 53.2 coverage grade, which makes very little to zero sense, and was ranked 298th out of 383 qualified players who took a coverage snap and like some just coverage grade metrics. But he looked fantastic in man coverage, like really kept up, didn't really go over the line with anything. I didn't even notice anything like that could have been close to a penalty unless I'm missing something.
Nope,
Just
not that I
super
can think
clean,
of.
refined football from a guy we've come to expect that, even with a little sample size due to the injury last year. Christian Gonzalez was fantastic, and I think you could easily put him up a little higher on this list.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't know about the coverage grade stat. That's kind of insane. I'm assuming
Yeah,
that was
that
from
doesn't make any sense.
Pro Football Focus, who sometimes has some grades you kind of scratch your head at. But yeah, Gonzalez was great. You really didn't hear from Jamar Chase really at all. I feel like on Sunday, except the one big play he had wasn't even with Gonzalez covering him. It was the play, I think, was it Jawan Bentley? Might have been I think it was a linebacker in coverage, or it was somebody
I don't
Case
remember
in point, it was
exactly.
a linebacker that was on Jamar Chase, and that was the one big play down the middle of the field he had. But Gonzalez was excellent. Even the couple of catches he did allow for Jamar Chase, it was all kind of underneath stuff. Never really got beat over the top. They really never even like we kind of talked about that last week. And you mentioned we talked about would teams not necessarily target Christian Gonzalez because again that's a kind of a negative connotation, but I think I said to you like I'm sure teams would go after him just to kind of test him, see if he's legit. And you didn't even really see that on Sunday, so that was obviously good to see. And like you mentioned, he continues his very good streak against some pretty good wide receivers that we talked about either last week or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and that's gonna be one of the more not funny, fun storylines to follow with all the receivers he's gonna have to face this year.
Absolutely, got another
Um,
good one this week.
absolutely. Your number two stud, who is my number one.
Yeah, I got another guy we talked about. One of the hopefully staples of this defense as the season goes on, especially with no Matt Judon, and kind of left me saying Matt Judon, who like I have in the outline here, it's Keon White. Was excellent right from the jump, 4 tackles, 2.5 sacks to lead all Patriots, 3 quarterback hits. I believe that led all Patriots defenders as well. 2 tackles for losses and 1 forced fumble. I can't remember who was on the broadcast because I wasn't really paying that much attention to it, to be honest. I think at one point they described him as a home wrecker on it or a home wrecker in the making, and that's I think sums it up perfectly because he was in the backfield. It seemed like most of the afternoon, made Joe Burrow very uncomfortable. It seemed like at times, which is just pretty tough to do because I feel like he's one of those quarterbacks that doesn't tend to get rattled by too much. White was excellent in this game, and again, you're looking for a guy to be that leading pass rusher on this team. He's gotten off to a very good start doing so.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'll just spoil my number one. Start a little further just with my thoughts, which aren't too different from yours, but I did want to highlight that he did cook Trent Brown, so that was cool to
That's
see.
always fun to see. Yep.
Um, I saw someone put up the photo of Trent Brown next to Aaron Donald in the Super Bowl, and it was like Keon White on Trent Brown all these years later, wearing number 99 on ironically, not unironically. Just correcting myself there. Um, yeah, I mean, I didn't expect 2.5 sacks, tackles for loss, QB hits all the 9 yards in game one, but I can't say I'm tremendously surprised. I mean, this is a guy that is all business, all football, like kind of looks like a crazy person sometimes with the lack of emotion he shows, and I mean that in the
Mm-hmm.
best way
Very stoic.
as a
Yep.
football player. Um, I saw the picture of him in his fit talking to the media after the game is like might be the new like I want you to put the word out there that we're back up like Patriots version instead of Idris Elba. It's just that shot of Keon White, which is awesome. Yeah, I mean he just plays with so much power. He could be an absolute terror off the edge. And if this keeps up, the Patriots, I don't want to say it like right away, but if he can keep somewhat of this pace, if not this pace, he's gonna be an all pro. Like
He definitely will
he's
be
this
consideration.
ridiculous
Absolutely.
game.
Mm-hmm.
He's just so strong and just a massive human being with great power off the edge. So he was just outstanding. What a way to step into a bigger role.
Right, for sure. And that's what it is. I found it interesting. You do bring up the stat line, maybe one you don't expect, because like I kind of maybe feel the same way a little bit, and like maybe this is something you build towards. You don't expect him. I mean, he's a good player, so I'm not going to say like completely shocked that he's capable of this. But again, with maybe some questions of what his role would be, would he step into the Judon role or kind of be floating around here? Maybe you would have thought like, okay, this is something they build him up towards. They're not going to shoot him out of a cannon right away, and that just wasn't the case. I mean, like I said, he was ready to go, as were a lot of players, but he was the most noticeable. Again, to say shot out of a cannon, ready to go, and playing with a fire under his ass right away, which was great to see.
Yeah, and we'll see how he can follow it up. He's gonna have to deal with Charles Cross and or George Font in Seattle, and Charles Cross, the high draft pick a few years ago. So could be a nice little battle there, two young guys.
Absolutely.
So looking forward to that. And football season is going to be a lot more fun to watch if Keon White can turn out performances like this. Now we're led to believe he can.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if you didn't have confidence in the guy before, which would be kind of weird because he's pretty good. So my number two is Ramondre Stevenson, a guy that has to represent the offensive side of the ball in any studs and duds list because he was the offense
Mm-hmm.
largely.
Yep.
120 yards, looks like the old Ramondre, which is not to say he's like sucked in the past. Just under 5 yards a carry, a touchdown. He had where did I write this down? He had the eighth most yards from scrimmage in week one with 126. Was just eating up, absolutely eating up. Gets the big touchdown. That was a huge difference maker in a low scoring game like this. Yeah, I mean, a really encouraging sign. Ramondre is good, looking fast, looking fresh, and the offensive line was good, which helped. Maybe if they keep this up, or my whole thing about how he's gonna probably he could like break his single season record in like touchdowns, but
Mhm.
he might put up more yards than I thought if the offensive line can give him space. He looks like more of a guy that's gonna do more damage than he's done in the past with that space if he gets it, because the offensive line played good, but they're by no means a sure thing yet. There's still a lot of work to do. But
Mhm.
Ramondre, what a start! Just really not a whole lot to dislike from the group as a whole for like a starting point here to Gerard Mayo's tenure. And yeah, Ramondre Stevenson led the charge, a guy that is playing to make that contract extension look good.
Absolutely, and off to a very good start. He was my number one. One of the other stats you didn't mention. This is one that's been caught a lot of eyes going around Twitter. Pro Football Focus. I know we just bashed him for saying sometimes a little iffy with the stats, but this one helps kind of feed the talk about Ramondre Stevenson. They had Ramondre Stevenson versus the Bengals, 120 rushing yards, 118 yards after contact. So you mentioned it, the offensive line. Yes, they were good in the run game, particularly. Not to spoil anything, but a couple offensive linemen might show up on the duds side of the list for some pass protection stats. But even when there weren't holes opening up, Stevenson was running over guys, and that was a big thing for me. Kind of to echo your point, looked healthy. I can't remember who it was on Twitter, had a good tweet about Stevenson where it was basically like, is there a player you can think of in the NFL that needed an offseason more than Ramondre Stevenson? Obviously, to kind of recoup, get rested, get healthy, like you mentioned. He looked like he was ready to go right from the get-go and was very good. And again, the Ramondre Stevenson, we kind of didn't see a ton of last year because again was banged up, as was pretty much ran to the ground. I feel like the year before maybe wasn't all that recouped from that. Again, 25 rushes to start the year, so definitely the workhorse back, but looked like that's a role he is more than comfortable being in, and is hopefully going to thrive in week after week. Because like you said, it did stink that he was pretty much the entire offense, but I've seen some people complain about that. Like, why did you get the receivers more involved in a game like this with Stevenson running as well as he did and was? Why would you change anything up? Like, you're not going to
Right.
start, you're not going to pull a 49ers and you're running the ball well in the Super Bowl and start throwing the ball all over the place. Like, that doesn't work time to time. So, perfectly fine with Stevenson's day, was very good right out of the gate.
Yeah, we're seeing already, and he's part of this. We saw how fired they were after the game. Like, there's a big chip on their shoulder. They might
Absolutely.
still finish with 4 or 5 wins, but there's a
Mhm.
big chip on the shoulder. Like, if they suck, and they probably will, it's going to be an inspired effort along the way,
Mhm.
for the most part. It looks like, but things can, in that regard, unfortunately change week to week. But I don't really have any concerns right now after a game
No,
like this.
absolutely. How could you?
I mean, from a heart perspective, they have it. It's going to be whether the talent or the determination, how big of factors those
Mhm.
can add or subtract from your
How
ability to
far
win.
can Hart take you in the NFL? That'll be the question to watch with the Patriots
Yeah,
this year. Heart and
they get into the
scrappiness. How far?
playoffs
How
on
many wins can
heart.
it get you? Yep.
Yes. All right, now we shift to duds. Ryan, I will allow you to get going.
Yeah,
Let's
we
do
have the
it. Our
same number
duds.
three dud. Again, kind of tough to find duds in a game that was as well played as this one. Maybe, some people will say, a 16-point effort, you could probably find more duds than we did, but we're gonna, go with what we did here. I had Marco Wilson as mine, 15 snaps, plays, only had 2 tackles. And of course, the big thing for him had the brutal 20-yard defensive pass interference penalty that helped set up Cincinnati's one lone score of the day. It made the game a little closer than maybe it should have been. Because again, the Patriots, I feel like, were dominating on, both sides of the ball, especially on defense at that point. So Marco Wilson, you just can't put yourself in that spot. And I mean, it was an obvious pass interference. Like, he mugged the guy. I can't remember who the receiver was, um, but completely mugged the guy up the sideline. Like, you can't be doing that. You got to know better. So that's why I have him as the number 3 dud this week. And I'm
Yeah,
sure
and
you
it's as
have the same
simple.
reasons.
Yeah, it's as simple as this for me. When you take a big penalty like that, that sets up the only touchdown of the game for the other team. In a close
Not
game,
great.
you are worthy of a little bit of flack. It's
Hmm.
that simple.
For sure. My number
For sure.
2, this is where we differ here because I think you and I have the same number 1. My number 2, shocker, Vidarian Lowe was on it, but not a terrible game for Vidarian Lowe. So this one maybe comes with a little bit of a caveat. Greg Bedard had him for 5 pressures allowed. Mark Daniels had him for a hit allowed in this game. Also had a false start penalty. We know the deal. He stinks. But I only have him as the number 2 because he was not the worst left tackle in this game, surprisingly. But I don't know if you had any thoughts on Vidarian's Lowe play, because this is a guy, as people know that listen to the show, you are not very high on him either.
Yeah, if your expectations aren't high for the guy, you're not going to get crushed too much. And this
Fair.
is a
Yep.
game we both expected the Patriots to lose. So, like, I can't be super upset with the shortcomings because I kind of expected them and I expected the Patriots to lose. And
Mhm.
overall, the O line was better than expected. The Patriots won. So
True. Yep.
um, that is why Vidarian Lowe is not on my duds list, but I understand the merit behind it for sure.
You have a
Um,
fan favorite for yourself on the duds list once again. This guy, I think, just takes a permanent residency when it comes to the duds list, whether it's 3, 2, or 1 for you.
I don't know. Devon Godchaux just doesn't do anything.
Nope.
Gets lots of snaps, doesn't do anything. He has one tackle on 65% of snaps. Like, you'd think with
It's
Barmore
a
out,
Devon Godshaw stat line.
we'd see him, maybe have like 4 tackles, maybe get some disruptions, maybe a tackle for loss even. I I wouldn't be shocked if he had less than 5 tackles for loss last year. That might be an exaggeration, but like
Maybe look that up.
I truly looking at the game score, like the game book, whatever it's called,
Mhm.
after every game, like I do not remember many times, if any, last year that I saw a single tackle for loss, but I could be wrong. I don't know. Maybe I'm misremembering. Maybe, I'm just a hater. I am a hater. Like he just he doesn't
Definitely a Devon Godshaw hater.
he doesn't he doesn't earn his money, and he complained about money this summer. Like, you get your money and this is what you do? Like, it's a bad start. Like, you just need more from this guy.
Do you want to guess on? I just pulled it up. Tackles for losses last year. Would you like a guess on how many Devon Godshaw had?
4.
You were being too generous. Times 2. He had 2 in the Week 15 game against the Denver Broncos. Those were
And he
the
got to go
only
one
2 he had
game.
the entire season. Yep.
Wow. That's pretty funny.
Mhm.
Holy shit. Yeah, he's just he bugs me.
And he has for quite some time. This is not a new thing for you, for anybody that is new to the show, listening, new
It
to the
is
studs
not.
and duds. This is a guy that I'm sure next week will probably be on the duds list for you again. Like,
Nah, this time
you're right
he'll
though. You can pencil in
I
like
don't know.
more than half the snaps played, more than the third of the snaps played at sometimes, and like 1 or 2 tackles, and that's it.
Yeah.
And maybe I maybe want to chalk it up to a scheme thing because the Bengals couldn't run the ball at all, and maybe they see Godshaw. I'd have to think they see Godshaw as more of a run stopper in the middle. But then again, you're right. Like this is the same stat line he has week after week. I'm right there with you. Like you can't complain about your contract situation when you pretty much bring nothing to the table week after week. Um, and again, I think you mentioned it earlier. You looked at it as kind of a leader on this team, a veteran voice. Got to play better. Got to back it up.
Gotta back it up, man. You really do.
Mm-hmm. Consensus number 1 for you and I, it is Chuks Okorafor. Like I said, he was the worst left tackle in the game, which is saying something with Vidarian Lowe on your team. And when you are benched for Vidarian Lowe, you deserve the number 1 dud spot because he only played, I think, 12 snaps. Greg Bedard had him for 3 pressures and 12 snaps allowed. Um, Obviously not a great start. Good on the Patriots for knowing right away that this was not working. Like, we're going to have to go
Yeah.
to somebody else. And I don't think Vidarian Lowe is 100% for this game. He might have been dealing with some sort of injury, I think I remember hearing.
Yeah, I think so.
But not a great start for a core 4 who did not, as we know, did not have a good preseason at all. So not a great start for him and tough to see. Like you said, the offensive line as a whole was good. In the run game, pass protection was a little shaky, but we kind of expected that. But a core 4 really couldn't get anything going. They didn't really try running his way.
Yeah.
The snaps he was in, and again, the pressure and the protection for Jacoby Brissett was not ideal.
No, and if he keeps this up, he's gonna be approaching territory of like the Jermaine Illuminors and the Marshall Newhouses.
Yep.
Jermaine Illuminor, credit to him, has turned things around with the Raiders and now the Giants. We'll see how it goes with the Giants. Yikes. But yeah, a core 4 just it hasn't worked. It really hasn't.
Newhouse was a good pull. He's basically the Godshaw on offense. Like that guy, I can't remember what year they
Yeah,
had
he's
him,
one of the
but
worst I've seen.
yeah, he found a way to find the duds list week after week. He might have been on it like every week that year.
Yeah,
The Patriots had him.
impressively consistent on the duds list.
Yep.
But
Well, if you're gonna be good at one thing,
yeah, I mean, I guess be good at something, be consistent.
For sure.
All right, takeaways.
Are we deferring to me or
Yes.
to you? How do you? Okay. Yeah. I mean, like I said, kind of at the top of the show, didn't want to spoil things too much, but as I mentioned, was pleasantly surprised at how well the Patriots were prepared for this game. Because I mean, we're both excited to see what Gerard Mayo brings to the table, but I'm not gonna sugarcoat it or lie to anybody. Like there were some questions going in. Now, obviously, there's going to be with a new head coach. Definitely some questions when on the opening kickoff they have an illegal formation penalty. I don't know if you felt the same way I did, but as soon
Oh
as
my
I
God,
saw
the
that,
NFL loves illegal formation now.
horrible. That's going to ruin the game this year. It already has 1 week in. But when you see that right out of the gate, you're like, all right, here we go again with this stupid ass team. They're not going to be able to figure anything out. And then kudos to them. They played pretty much outside of a couple of penalties, like we mentioned, um, pretty much a mistake-free game, which is very surprising to see with the new head coach, new coaching staff as a whole. So I don't know if you had any thoughts on that, kind of the way they got out of the gate, like we said on defense, was flying around, hitting people hard, which was good to see, kind of taking the embodiment of Gerard Mayer, because that's how he played the game when he was a player. So that was obviously great to see. Any thoughts on how the game opened, or just kind of things you saw that developed as the game went on?
Yeah, I think the run up the hill mentality or whatever it was that they were talking about
Yep.
really showed. Um, it was nice to see them look this polished. It wasn't a perfect game, but like even if they lost this, like somehow lost this game, I'd be pretty pleased overall with the effort
Hmm.
because I think overall it was pretty good. So it's not surprising. I mean, Mayo's new, but he's been around for a while, been around the game, been like on the coaching staff for a while, first year's head coach. They've got experienced guys, so it's not like they brought in a bunch of newbies, but um, they were ready. I mean, it shows early on too that DeMarcus Covington could have been a nice little promotion choice on defense,
Absolutely. Yep.
finally going from defensive line coach to defensive coordinator. So, um, yeah, I mean, it's nice when you have the guy whose job you're replacing on the staff still.
True. Yep. That helps.
So maybe this is another like really solid, stout, um, top Patriots defensive unit again. And that was the most impressive thing we talked about on the show already. Like the defense was really good, and um, yeah, I mean, just really impressed how polished they were.
As was I. I'll just play the role of facilitator here as we kind of go down this thing, get your thoughts on a couple of these other things. The only other things obviously that stood out to me, how well Jacoby Brissett looked, because again, there were questions about him coming out of the preseason. We talked about, the couple of mistakes he was making, which was kind of uncharacteristic for a veteran of his caliber. Put all that behind him and played very, very well. Was very impressive. The thing that impressed me the most was didn't know that Jacoby Brissett had the mobility that he does. The 7 rushes, 32 yards, had a 16-yard run, I think, for a first down, which was good to see. And the big thing for me too, again, that veteran quarterback aspect, knowing when to, obviously get rid of the ball, get out of the pocket when it starts collapsing. It only really took one kind of big hit at the start of the game, and then maybe that, I feel like, kind of woke him up a little bit to be like, all right, I got
Yeah,
to
he
protect
looked like he might have
myself
been
better.
hurt too. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, oh
Yeah,
no.
same thing. I saw that. I'm like, oh no, please don't hurt yourself week one, because I don't want to see Drake May this early with, again, the question marks that this team has. But yeah, Brissett, his stat line's not going to light up the radar gun or anything. 15 for 24, 121 yards, a sack. Obviously, just the rushing touchdown that the Patriots had. But again, thought he played a very clean game. Did have Hunter Henry kind of bail him out on what would have been, or probably should have been, an interception. That was really his only one mistake of the game. So again, was to stick with the theme here, pleasantly surprised with how well Jacoby Brissett looked.
Yeah, I mean, you'd like a little more, but like,
For sure. Yep.
are you taking this in week one? I think you should.
Absolutely.
You
Yep.
don't have to. Like, I don't want to say that, but
Hmm.
I'm taking this for week one. Jacoby Brissett back in the mix, every time. And hey, doesn't hurt that he's got some familiarity with AVP.
Nope.
Maybe
That
to help
helps
him
for sure.
settle in. Some time in between now and the preseason where he had a couple mistakes. Clearly allowed him to move past that. So and keep a short memory. Just he's gonna have to play football like this, and
Hmm.
have a game that's better, obviously here and there if they want to win games. But like if you're taking this, it's better than him doing this with 2 picks. Like if he's playing throwing safe passes, we're gonna want him to take some chances for the rookie's sake and for guys like Pop Douglas. But for week one, I have no issues with the performance, even though the stat line isn't extravagant.
Yeah, for sure. And like you think, the way I was kind of thinking about it this way too is I feel like this is a game, the exact type of game the Patriots lose last year because of their quarterback play. Like this is a stat line you would see for Mac Jones or Bailey Zappi, but then as you mentioned, you throw in a couple of picks and you lose the game by a field goal or a couple of points here because your quarterback made a dumb decision. And again, Brissett wasn't perfect as you mentioned. As I said, the Hunter Henry, um, near interception was something you don't want to see. But again, Brissett was smart with the ball for the most part. And I don't want to sound like I'm pumping the guy's tires too much because again, 121 yards. And when your running back, outpaces your quarterback in yardage, it's not something you want to see, of
Good
course.
point.
But yeah, I found it interesting you mentioned kind of because that was my last point on this Alex Van Pelt's day. You got to think, as you said, the Brissett and his connection obviously worked out in this game. But again, playing the role of facilitator here, What were your thoughts on Van Pelt's day as a whole? Because again, didn't really push the ball downfield a lot. Again, that was kind of the one gripe I saw a lot of people have on social media was not getting the receivers involved. Um, but again, like I said earlier, when you're running the ball as well as you have, and your defense is playing as well, you're controlling the clock. You don't need to take a ton of big chances. They did right out of the gate. The one problem I did have with Alex Van Pelt at the start of the second half was that deep ball they tried to throw to Tyquan Thornton, which just didn't fit the game plan. Again, like you weren't doing that all day. Yeah, maybe you try to catch the Bengals sleeping right out of the gate, but again, until you were proven otherwise and the run gets stopped, kind of why would you go away from that? So again, nothing too crazy to write home from Van Pelt, but I thought overall had a pretty good day in his first day as a Patriots offensive coordinator.
Yeah, I don't think anyone realistically expected anything too crazy. So I think this was like a good setting the groundwork type of scheme. As I have noted here, they did have the seventh most time of possession of any team in the NFL in week one. So managing the clock, even in a game where the Bengals struggle on offense, when you're playing a better team, if you can manage the clock, that can be a huge difference maker in either keeping it close or winning.
Absolutely.
Um, or in the event, you manage the clock and you still get blown out because you're just playing a better team. Maybe you soften the blow a little bit, but that wasn't the case here.
No.
On the receivers thing too.
Yeah, where are you at on that? I was going to ask you, are you kind of in that boat or are you, I feel like you're maybe
Yeah,
on more the
like
side of me, like it's not that big of a deal, but
yeah, like I don't know. It's like a half cop out. Like it was week one.
mhm,
I don't think they were gonna do anything crazy. I definitely expected more from the receivers, but on that topic, like I think Jalen Polk had a couple routes where he got good separation, but either Brissett didn't see him or it wasn't what they wanted to do for
yep.
whatever reason. Things still need to be ironed out that we don't really notice on the TV. But I like Jalen Polk's ability to get separation. KJ Osborne didn't light it up, but they got the ball to KJ Osborne a little bit. Nice to see the new guy get involved. Tight ends were involved, and of course, like it kind of makes it better when Ramondre Stevenson runs for 120 and a touchdown.
Yep.
You know,
Glosses things over a
and the
little
offensive
bit
line doesn't get your quarterback killed or get
for
one of your
sure.
running backs killed. Um, yeah, I mean, we know that Van Pelt's scheme can be exciting. It probably wasn't going to be this week, and that's okay.
hmm Yeah, and again, I don't think it needed to be like you
Yeah.
have here too. We're both in agreement. Would have liked to have seen a little bit more Demario Douglas. That was kind of surprising. A guy his skill set, you can't really get him involved. A little bit more like maybe throwing a couple end arounds there, maybe some screens like they like to do, where you get the guy going upfield. But again, when you said Ramondre Stevenson runs for over 100 or 120 yards, like you don't have to go to the well of the receivers too many times. I agree with you too. That was the other point I wanted to make. Nice to see the both tight ends got involved early. Austin Hooper had a couple of really nice catches, which was good to see, get him comfortable in the offense. And you mentioned Osborne as well. Kind of, again, week one, you don't want to read into anything too much. But I think a couple of his catches were third down conversions. So that's nice to see Jacoby Brissett maybe early on has found a guy he's comfortable going to. Because again, it's gonna take time to build this rapport with even Douglas, who's a young guy, doesn't really know Brissett's style. Polk, obviously, you're gonna have to kind of wait and see on not wait and see, but you hope he gets gets his game along a little quicker here. Good to see Osborne, the veteran, like you said, kind of have a nice little, rapport with Brissett right out of the gate.
Yeah, and back to the Osborne thing too. Like you have him as a veteran you can lean on with Bourne out because Brissett doesn't have familiarity with Bourne either. But Bourne's been
True.
around the
Yep.
system. Well, the system's different now, but Bourne's been here longer. So,
Been around the
um,
team. There's comfortability there. Yep.
yeah, I think they're gonna find ways to not be mind numbing like the Mac Jones Bailey Zappi
Yeah.
games.
Yep.
But like I think we're gonna see games like this. So I'm kind of in a mode where I'm preparing myself. We're gonna see ugly offense for sure with this team, but we really didn't too much. So I'm not gonna harp on it too much.
No, absolutely
One
not.
takeaway I wanted to mention was shout out to Jawan Bentley because he is uh, the chant leader, the "Aw yeah" chant in the locker room now. It looks like with Matthew Slater gone, and I do want to double check his stat line because he easily could have been a stud
Yeah, he
as
had a
well.
very good game as well. Yep.
Seven tackles, 5 assisted tackles for 12 combined, half sack for 2.5 yards. So not a bad performance
No,
for a
absolutely
guy
not.
that has been around for quite some time. It feels like now. So
hmm
just never really have many problems with Jawan Bentley and clearly taking on even more of a leadership role.
For sure. Yep.
Love it.
Mhm.
Um, shall we switch to Pats-Seahawks now?
Yeah, there's nothing else I can think of. Like I said, I agree with you that there are going to be games that are ugly, but again, just can't remember the last time I had it. And again, it's a 16-10 game, so maybe it's not the craziest game on the planet, but like I think that was like engaged right from the get-go. Again, can't stress enough how surprised and enjoyable that game was to watch because it's been a long time. Like I can't remember when that Buffalo game was, how long ago from a specific date standpoint, but you're right. That's probably the last really good game the Patriots had. So to see again everything kind of, not everything, but a decent amount work out of the gate and look pretty decent out of the gate was very good to see and very promising. Again, maybe I've seen some people the people want to be negative, like, oh, the Patriots, they can win week one and then lose the rest of the way. Like, I don't know why I got to be that negative, but like, let's enjoy the win right out of the gate. You got a team that you should be able to compete with coming up, as you mentioned in Seattle. That should be a good game as well with how well the Seahawks looked in week one. So I'm more excited. I'll put it this way: I'm more excited for this season now than I was going into it. Because again, we kind of thought doom and gloom out of the gate, but to see them step up like they have has to give you hope and optimism moving forward.
Absolutely. And I just checked October 22nd when the Bills
Thank you.
game last year.
Long time ago.
I was gonna say the 25th, so I'm glad I didn't. Pats-Seahawks. Two 1-0 teams, as everyone expected.
Yep.
Not a trip with the Seahawks, just talking about the Patriots. The Seahawks are 3.5-point favorites. The over-under is 37.5. As you've noted, opened at 42.5. So
I'd like to know what happened to drop it that much. Like I know Kenneth Walker's questionable, but I don't know.
Very interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, Kenneth Walker's got to have some effect on that. Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat. Like they are a beatable team. I'm not gonna guarantee one way or the other, but this is a team that maybe not to the surprise level of the Bengals. Depending on how you feel about Joe Burrow and crew, would be a nice surprise if they won this game. And yeah, I mean Geno Smith, quarterbacks in general, like didn't really have a great week.
Pretty average week, yeah. There were a couple. I mean, Josh Allen was the big standout, obviously, but other than that, like,
yeah,
Jaden Daniels had a decent debut.
Yeah,
but like he didn't do anything crazy. Like,
yeah,
what a down week for quarterbacks. You're right, yeah.
Yeah, like Geno Smith had 18 for 25 for 171, a touchdown and a pick. Like decent, but like not really eye popping. And this is a Seahawks team that like has a decent amount of weapons too. So Kenneth Walker had a great game, so his status is going to be worth monitoring. Looks like we're going to see more and more implementation as Zach Charbonnet this year. And then they got Luck and Metcalf and Smith and Jigba. The big thing here in this game is Devin Witherspoon and Reek Woolen. So I'm still going to use calling him Reek. Apparently he wants to be Reek now, and that's fine. That frightens me a little bit. It does, especially for a team with inexperienced receivers across the board a little bit. Not across the board. That was not what I wanted to say there, but you know what I mean, I guess.
Yep, I gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, this is either going to be like kind of a boring, close-ish game, or I could see a little bit of flair in this game. I don't know. Feeling a little weird about this game. What about you?
Yeah, it's a weird game for me, and like I don't want to spend too much because we're obviously moving on from week one. But I mean, it is kind of interesting to me. You get a lesser quarterback in Geno Smith than obviously Joe Burrow a week ago. Maybe a lesser weapon in DK Metcalf than Jamar Chase. But I mean, the Bengals look so dysfunctional in that game. Like, is it crazy to say the Seahawks might be a tougher opponent because they look more like zoned in and ready to go? Definitely did in week one. Like the Bengals looked so discombobulated week one. Maybe that's because the Patriots defense played so well, but I just don't think. And as you mentioned the stat line earlier, or the record that they have the first couple weeks of the season, like the Seahawks to me feel like a tougher test, even though they might not be as good as a team as the Bengals are. And like obviously, there's we talked about it leading up to the season, because this is a game I picked the Patriots to win to start the year, and kind of put it on that they're going to be juiced and ready to go in Gerard Mayo's first home game. Thought that they'd be coming off a loss against the Bengals, obviously, but Seahawks obviously looked really well in that first game against the Broncos. I mean, it's the Broncos, so a lot of teams are going to look well against Denver this year because they stink. But yeah, like this is an interesting one to me because I feel like the Seahawks, they might not be the better team than the Bengals, but I think are definitely in a better spot. So I wonder, how that's going to factor in. If maybe the Patriots get a little surprised by how good Seattle might come out and play, or if again, you should be able to make Geno Smith look like Joe Burrow did last week. So it is an interesting one to kind of keep an eye on for sure.
No, I think you're absolutely right. And I don't know if I'm reading into this too much, and I don't know how these guys think, but like maybe for guys like Woolen and Witherspoon, they're kind of salivating right now, like inexperienced receiver core,
Yeah, that's a good way
not
to look at it. Yep.
not like a big name, like a huge name in that mix. So maybe that means they put clamps down and Jacoby Brissett can't really do much. Um, Luckily, I mean their pass rush isn't amazing. They have guys that can get to the quarterback, but this isn't a team with like a TJ Watt or Micah Parsons or anything.
Hmm.
Um, I do think Boye Mafe is poised for potential breakout this year. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Like maybe this is another game where they have to be heavy on the ground, especially if Walker can play in their ground and pounding.
Hmm.
Um, they're gonna need Ramondre to be Ramondre. Maybe we see a little bit more of Anthony Gibson out of the backfield to kind of like give a different look. And just get him further involved and entrenched in the offense a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. Like the Seahawks, maybe it's just the term we like to use, kind of like they're in that like 8 to 10 win territory. So like
Yep.
sometimes those teams are just like, hey, maybe they'll win if
They
you're talking
surprise
about
you.
the
Yep.
Patriots here. So like maybe it's just as simple as that. But I don't know. I think we both kind of feel a little weird about this game, a little bit like on each side of the fence a little bit, kind of going back and forth, teeter tottering. But
Yep.
we'll get to the injury report real quick. City So did not participate today, limited. Where David Andrews, which is just rest, Antonio Gibson, Anthony Jennings, Darian Lowe, Jabril Peppers, Ramondre Stevenson also rest. Josh Uche and Dietrich Wise. I did see Uchenna Nwosu, who is on the DNP list, will be out on Sunday. So
Okay.
that's a pretty solid linebacker
That's a
gone
big
for
blow. Yeah.
Seattle. Kenneth Walker did not participate. George Fant did not. And Tyrell Dodson. Limited were Tyler Lockett, Noah Fant, like a double Fant. Pharaoh Brown, old friend, had that big play last year. Never forget. Jerome Baker, new guy from the Dolphins they picked up. So hopefully for their sake of the linebacker position, he can be healthy if they're not going to have Wosu. Damon Jones, they also got, I believe, from the Broncos, and Reek Woolen and Trey Brown at the corner position were limited. So that's a big one to monitor if Woolen is limited. I got a hamstring issue, and full participants were Lakin Thompson, Tomlinson, and Anthony Bradford. So that's the injury report. Nothing too crazy, but I'm just putting it out there. It is
Mhm.
Wednesday. These things will evolve as well. Any storylines you're looking at, Ryan, outside
Yeah.
of
I
what
mean,
we've touched on?
just to, yeah, the one you just mentioned, and again, we kind of touched on it a little bit, but just to reiterate, like the Walker one's a big one for me because just kind of formulating thoughts here. Like if Kenneth Walker plays in that game, that's obviously a huge step up from Cincinnati's run game last week. Nothing against Zach Charbonnet because I think he's going to be a good player and he has shown flashes. But if you get him in a starting role, I feel like that kind of falls into the same mold that Zach Moss and Chase Brown did last week, and they obviously didn't do a whole lot. I mean, I know Moss had the touchdown, but again, that was helped because of a defensive pass interference penalty. And the Bengals really weren't doing anything in the run game outside of that. So maybe the Patriots catch a break there. And if Walker's out, then I think you kind of make Seattle's offense maybe a little more one-dimensional than they would be if Walker played. But the thing you mentioned about the defensive backs and the receivers for the Patriots is an interesting storyline to keep an eye on. Again, I don't want to be too positive about anything and sound like I'm just, upbeat about everything, but Patriots wide receivers didn't do a whole lot last week and they won the game. So like you said, maybe this is another game where Ramondre Stevenson, you have to ride him a little bit. I like to see that he's getting rest in training camp and, they're not going to ride him too hard right out of the gate. So that's good to see. And then the other one is the obvious one kind of alluded to earlier. Christian Gonzalez, can he keep up his streak of shutting down big receivers? Because you got to think DK Metcalf's coming a little pissed off after 3 catches for 29 yards last week. Nothing too crazy for him. Obviously, one of his, not good stat lines that he's had in
Yeah.
his career. So you got to think he's going to want to bounce back. And I feel like, maybe some of these receivers moving forward are going to want to do like, I'm going to be the guy that's going to, finally break this young corner that everyone is so high on. No one's been able to do it yet. So maybe DK
Yep.
Metcalf's up for that challenge.
Yeah, and the weird thing about that whole equation with Metcalf is he never really gets that upset at people or does
Yeah.
anything crazy.
Yeah.
So, he probably won't let that bother him. He's a pretty even kill guy, uh, doesn't get coined as having roid rage by people sometimes,
Yeah.
allegedly, of course. So I'm sure he'll keep even keel if he gets shut down by Gonzo.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have anything else for like big storylines outside of what I've talked about, what we've talked about. But one guy I am looking forward to seeing. Hopefully, he's not much of a game wrecker. Byron Murphy was drafted by the Seahawks this year. Didn't like watch Seattle defensively through like red zone much very closely
Mhm.
last week, so I didn't see how much he did. But he was one of the better interior defensive tackles in all of college last year. Him and Devondre Sweat were a nasty duo for Texas. So that's a guy to watch out too, potentially if he's making an impact. Not sure how much they're playing him yet, but yeah, there's got another guy to watch out for. Potentially a star in the making. He's pretty good in college. Predictions, Ryan.
Yeah, I'm sticking with my preseason prediction. I got the Patriots going to 2-0. Would have been 1-1 if the, week one went the way I predicted it to. So maybe I was wrong with the we are always right on all of our predictions that I said a couple weeks ago. Can't all be perfect. It stinks. But I'm going with the
Damn it,
Patriots.
first
7.
time not going perfect.
Yeah, I know, right? You got to overcome it though. You said this game could go either way. Could be a slow slog, kind of gross game, or back and forth. Points get put on the board. I'm gonna go with the first 17-13 Patriots. Again, if you made Joe Burrow look as bad as you did in week one, I think you can definitely do it against Geno Smith. Obviously, the Kenneth Walker factor is going to be huge in this game as well. But I'm sticking with the Patriots. I think they're going to be coming off high, off a high coming off of the week one win. Juiced up for Gerard Mayo's first home game, as I said in the preseason prediction. I'm going to stick with the Patriots. And then from a betting side of things, because we did that last week, you and I had our successes in one side of the betting, maybe not so much in the other. I went 2-0 with the under on the Patriots plus 8.5. You went 1-1 with the under in the Bengals minus 8.5. I'm taking 2 picks again this week. Taking the Patriots money line at plus 152, and then I'm going to take, because there's obviously no prop bets when we look this early, at least I looked this early the other day. I'll take Seattle's under in points. That is at 20.5. And those are according to FanDuel. I don't know what DraftKings is, but I got to think it's probably pretty similar.
Alrighty, and if they've evolved the odds, they probably have evolved too much.
Exactly.
I am reversing my prediction, and I have
Boo! I saw this right before
from
we jumped on.
preseason.
Was kind of disappointed in you, not gonna lie. But I will. You told me there is reason, so I will hear you out as to why you are now flipping on the New England Patriots.
Yeah, the Woolen and Witherspoon thing makes me a little uneasy.
Fair, okay.
I do think their offense can put up points, and we saw that against a lowly Broncos team that hung in a little bit. Bo Nix had some interesting doozies, but that's to be expected with Bo Nix. I don't know. Like, I don't know if I call this a letdown spot, but like they come out of Cincy with the win and they lose on something like unfortunate or like weird. Not like a pick. They're just like maybe they're close in this game and then something happens in Seattle's favor late and they win. I could see the margin being a lot closer, but I'm going with 24-16 Seahawks. It felt right. I couldn't get to putting the Patriots to win this game when my gut feeling is that they're going to lose this game. So contrary to probably a lot of people, if I had to guess, I bet the public money is on the under. I'm going over in this game with the score prediction, 37.5. I don't feel great about it, but I'm going with my gut. And sometimes you should just do that for fun. And, because it is your gut. 24-16 Seahawks. I don't feel great about it, but I don't know. I can't go against my gut here. I hate the idea of Witherspoon and Woolen against young receivers. And, if the Patriots are going to win this game, they're going to have to do it on the ground.
What do they say on Barstool Sports Advisors? The bets you feel the grossest about and the most uncomfortable about, those are the ones that tend to win, or whatever it is. They say something
Sometimes,
similar to that. So maybe you, again, from the Patriots side of things, I hope you're wrong. But maybe
fair.
from if you want to make some money, maybe, well, the over bet you would obviously wouldn't be the worst thing if the Patriots win the game and it goes over. So maybe that's something that works out in your favor.
Yep, it's true. How did we do this last year? Did we go to predictions after this, or did we go to the recap? I
I
forget.
think we went to the week one recap and then finished with the NFL week 2 predictions.
Alrighty.
Which I will not spoil what the record was, but you did very well on the week 1 predictions. You are off to a much hotter start than you got off to last year.
You beat me last year, so I'm hoping
we flipped. I got off to a great start last year.
Yeah.
And it is not the case this year right out of the gate.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get revenge this year in that regard. So yeah, if you're waiting for the predictions, you're gonna have to wait until after we recap week 1. So let's go right back to the top. Of the list. Ravens and Chiefs start the season with a banger that almost ended in regulation in very dramatic fashion, but not quite. The Chiefs hold on 27-20. Isaiah Likely had a very good game. Derrick Henry, involved early, then not really involved.
Yep.
I
Got
mean,
off to a good
maybe
start, then was non-existent
maybe
afterwards.
he hit his touchdown quota, and they're like, all right, we'll throw the ball to Justice Hill a little bit.
Hmm.
Who had a good game as well. Xavier Worthy. I might just tweet it every
Fuck the
time he does
Bills.
something
You
awesome.
should. Absolutely. A lot of people are going to because I saw a lot of tweets against the Bills that night, and rightfully so. We said it draft night. A lot of people did. Um,
Yeah, like
idiotic decision by them.
it
Nothing
was a
against Keon
quintessential
Coleman,
like
but
yeah, but I mean Xavier Worthy, I bet if you ask most people, is a better prospect than Keon Coleman.
oh,
Like
absolutely. I
there were
wouldn't disagree with that.
Nikhil Harry comparisons for Keon Coleman. Like
It's not good.
um that play on the touchdown from Xavier Worthy was like, hey, this guy's awesome. We shouldn't have him, so we're gonna have him do something awesome.
Yep.
Like early on.
This guy's a fun guy to have in our offense. We'll find a way to get him into the end zone. Don't you worry. Like,
Yeah, I mean that like I'm not gonna say I expected it, but I was like I saw it's like of course.
you could kind of
Of
see it coming.
course.
Yeah. And again, it's a young, fast
Yeah.
wide receiver in the Chiefs. They'll find a way to make the guy work, unless it's
Yeah.
Kadarius Toney.
Yeah, who's a Brown now, which is really funny.
Hilarious. Yep.
Just the fun, absolutely funniest thing the Browns could have done after losing in embarrassing fashion to the Dallas Cowboys, and ticking off Johnny Fanta. Yeah, great game for Worthy. Rashee Rice was great.
Yep.
I mean, the Chiefs look like a formidable opponent again. Unshockingly, they win this one. This was one we both got wrong, but we
Yeah,
shouldn't be tremendously surprised about.
halfway through the game, I said I should have texted you. I don't know why I did. I'm like, why did I take the Ravens in this game? Like, I'm such an idiot. Like and this is the game
Yes
too
and
that
no,
like
though.
we
You just want to believe,
yeah.
You want to
Well, that's
believe
what
that
I
the
was gonna
Chiefs
say
start
is
0-1.
we said it after last year's Super Bowl. Like I think we're done betting against the Chiefs or hating on the Chiefs
I
because
don't think I bet
it
against the
is.
Chiefs as much as you did last year, though.
No, it's fair. It's fair, but like the point being that like we're done doubting the Chiefs. I should have said doubting instead of betting against. Because like this is the game that just pisses you off with the Chiefs. It's like they didn't play that great. Like Mahomes' stat line wasn't anything crazy. Kelsey did practically nothing all night long. You mentioned it. Rashee Rice had a great game. Xavier Worthy showed up. Pacheco really didn't do a whole lot either. And they still find a way to win the game. Like I don't want to say they luck out with Isaiah Likely stepping on the line, but like
They did.
close to lucking out there, unless like it would have been so Ravens and so Harbaugh, because I'm sure you saw him with his two fingers up wanting to go for two. Which people will argue
Oh
like
my
you
God.
you go
That
for
would
the
have
win on the road.
infuriated me.
Idiotic. Again, like he loves doing that with arguably the best kicker in the history of the sport. Like just take the field or
Yeah.
the extra point there, you idiot, and go to overtime. So that would have been infuriating to see if the Ravens were to tie the game or get the touchdown and then miss the 2-point conversion. But this is the game that aggravates you with the Chiefs because like they should have lost it. And still find a way to win. Isaiah likely gave the Ravens the kiss of death. Did you see afterwards in his post game? He basically was like, "If this is the best the Chiefs are going to play, then like good luck. You're not going to be successful." Basically,
No,
it's
I
like
did
you
not see
moron.
that.
Like you're an idiot. You had a good game. Just stick with that.
It's like a movie script, like when you do
Legit.
shit like that.
Literally, yep. That's
NFL
definitely not going
scripting.
to come back to haunt you like that. I couldn't
No,
believe that when I
definitely
saw it.
not.
I'm like, you moron. Just take your big game and enjoy that. Like, don't be an idiot and give this team more fuel to the fire.
Yeah, you shouldn't do that. Eagles Packers was a pretty damn entertaining game. I struggled to stay awake in the fourth quarter, but I caught as much of it as I could. So I won't speak too much on the fourth quarter because I was sleepy. Saquon was excellent. Maybe this doesn't happen every week, but maybe he is a perfect fit. We'll see.
I wasn't gonna text you. It came across my mind. I'm like, I'm pretty sure Mike said it wasn't gonna be much of a difference in this offense with him or something
Yeah, I
along
don't
the lines of
know.
that. But I'm like, we'll wait and
Yeah,
see how the
like
season goes on.
I've kind of been in the camp for a few weeks. Like he could he should be good, but like I don't
You
know if
didn't expect this.
he's gonna like win games like this for them, like
Yeah,
with
you
this type
definitely
of
didn't
performance.
expect. Yeah,
No, yeah, that's kind of in the camp I've been in for the past like month. Brown and Smith looked like Brown and Smith, as expected, two of the better receivers in the league. Josh Jacobs was excellent. Jaden Reed got justice from an early touchdown nullified by an offensive holding. Then he scored, what was it, twice? Yeah, he scored
yep.
twice. Yeah, I mean, he showed glimpses of it this year, but showed his case that he's better than Christian Watson and Romeo Dobbs.
He's their number one for sure. Like he's a
Yeah,
star in the making.
he's excellent. He was so good. Jordan Love sprained his MCL. Looks like the Malik Willis era. Maybe they'll trade for Joe Flacco. Maybe they'll trade for Mac Jones. I'm just saying shit, guys.
The Mac Jones one would
But
make a lot of sense.
I don't know. I actually haven't even looked on Twitter. Like, is Malik Willis going to be the guy? Are they going to bring Sean Clifford from Penn State
I don't
around?
know if it was a
Michael
joke.
Pratt from Tulane?
I don't know if it was a joke or not, but I could have sworn I saw somebody say that they've looked into bringing in Tannehill. To which someone was like, if Malik Willis gets
Oh
beat up by
man,
Ryan Tannehill again, like that guy should just. I mean, if they bring
they
in Mac
can't do that
Jones
to him.
over him, like he should just be like start bagging groceries somewhere or something
Sign
because that
Bailey
guy
Zappi
just.
off the practice
Oh
squad.
God, yeah, that'd be something. But again, like if he loses out another opportunity to just
Yeah.
another bum quarterback, like this guy needs to start like go find a hometown high school to coach football at or something because it's just not meant to be.
No, it's not. But it was a pretty good game. Like it was an unsafe environment, which I still don't understand
Yeah,
to have a
the
football game. But
not great.
yeah, you gotta do that when you can, Roger.
I guess
At
so.
least we got a good football game.
True.
Had something to watch. Was at a on a Friday night, winding down after a travel day. Went to a wedding. It was wonderful.
Very nice.
So yeah, we got to eat, watch football. So and then wind down, go to bed, rest up. So this was a good game to watch along the way. Missed bits and pieces of it, with some plans that night, but overall caught the most of it. And it was one of the better games of the week.
Yes, it was. I agree with you.
In this game, well, it was interesting, but still pretty bad. Vikings 28, Giants 6. Daniel Jones is off to a rough start. I'll say this. I hate the fans that were heckling him on the way
Yeah,
out.
kind of a
That's so
scumbag
lame.
move.
So lame. Fucking Giants
Mhm.
fans in their gray pavement stadium with terrible turf. Um, 22 for 42, 186, and 2 picks for Daniel Jones. He sacked 5 times, only rushes for 15 yards. Um, Malik Neighbors managed to make something out of this game. This was, to do a fantasy deflection, why I did not want to draft Malik Neighbors, because even though he did what
I
he
hated
did,
drafting him.
look at the quarterback.
Yeah.
It is bad for Daniel Jones. It was not bad for the Vikings. Sam Darnold was surprisingly pretty damn efficient and
Started
pretty
off like
good.
10 for 10, I think, which like
Yeah,
that's in itself the
which
Giants should be
hey,
ashamed of.
maybe
Like,
Sam Darnold experience.
maybe
Um maybe
give me
we're
a
getting
give me a real
fooled.
football
But
team, and then I'll make my judgment.
yeah, I mean, as you have here too, they ate up on defense too. Good start for a defense that's got a little bit some new faces in there, including Van Ginkel, who had a sack. Dallas Turner had a sack. I believe he had 3 tackles as well. The first round pick. They had 5 sacks, 2 picks, 12 quarterback hits, 6 tackles for loss, and 6 pass deflections against the lowly Giants.
Mhm. The Giants should have known they were screwed in this game as soon as they put them. Everyone's talked about it. I'm sure you feel the same way I do. Those disgusting uniforms on. I saw Tony
Yeah,
Maserati made a
like
great point. Said that it's basically the Montreal Canadiens jerseys of
yeah.
football, which was kind of good.
Someone caught a great picture of Daniel Jones too, where the brown looks like it could, like the brownish, like
his his
mustard Dijon. It's like it's pretty weird that the Giants just played the game naked. Like
with no
you
pants.
can
Yeah,
see, yeah,
I did see that tweet.
you can
Yep.
see their legs,
Yeah,
like
not
their
not
upper
great.
legs.
Very ugly. The other thing I was gonna
Really
say
bad.
about this game too. I mean, you're a Family Guy fan. You know the cutaway. I think it is. Where Stewie's at the Mets game, and it's like, and here's the first pitch of the season for
Yep,
the New York Mets, and it's all run, and the season's
perfect,
over. Legitimately, the
perfect.
Giants.
Throws the hat down.
Yep,
Yep, see you
it's
later.
over. It's
Um,
over. This game makes my I have people that may have forgotten. One of my bold predictions for the season was all 3 Giants quarterbacks are going to play at least 2 games. Off to a
looking
great
great,
start. Daniel
looking
Jones is going
great.
to get benched at some point.
I want to see Drew Lock become the starter of that team
That'd be something, wouldn't it be?
permanently. I would love that. I like Drew Lock. He's a good vibes guy, not a good quarterback, but
No, but
no played good in this game too. For his debut is Aaron
yes,
Jones.
he did.
Aaron Jones, shifting around the backfield a little bit in Minnesota, and it worked. I mean, hey, it's the Giants, but for a team that's missing their first round pick quarterback, vibes are a little low because of that. Hey, you'll take it.
You want to
You
get some
know,
good vibes, start the year off
hey,
high.
if
Pray that you play the Giants week 1.
I know that they played the Giants, but hey, if this can be a springboard point for their defense too, maybe their defense surprises people a little bit. 'Cause they were pretty good, but a 28-6 blowout that can be forgotten pretty easily, I think.
Absolutely.
Justin Jefferson got in the end zone. That was cool. This game, the next one, Steelers and Falcons, was so perfectly Steelers and so perfectly Falcons.
It's
It was
aggravating,
so
isn't it?
predictable.
Yep.
This makes me feel a little better about my Falcons prediction.
Yeah, he was just gonna say you got them. Probably hit the nail on the head there. Kirk Cousins did not look good in this game. Looked like a 30, what's he, 38, 37, whatever he is, coming off a massive injury. Like, he did not look
I think
good.
he's 38 or 39.
Mm-hmm.
Kirk Cousins is 36. Okay, yep.
Okay.
I know a lot about ages and
Well, you're
stuff.
both wrong.
So, yeah. Chris Boswell show. This can't be the first time in the past like 3 years that Chris Boswell's gotten all their points. Can't be.
I wouldn't doubt that, especially last year with their offensive struggles. But I mean, like, he did it all. Was out there kicking punts too because their punter got hurt. Like, good game for him.
Yeah.
And
Justin
TJ
Fields
Watt.
played.
And Justin
TJ
Fields.
Watt. Yep. Justin Fields. I mean, hey, if you're Russell Wilson, you're like, sucks that I didn't get started week 1, but like Justin Fields didn't light the world on fire. So
I think he's playing again week 2. I think
he is.
they've already
but
ruled Wilson out, so that's kind of interesting.
I don't know. I think it kind of adds a different, interesting layer. Like if Fields slips, maybe they just go to Wilson and do a litmus test between the two. Because I don't think this is even close to spelling the end for Russell Wilson already.
No.
I think that would defeat the purpose of signing him. But
Absolutely.
interesting to see Fields, not do a lot, but step in, get the win, regardless of how they did it. He didn't really do anything to get them in the end zone, but 6 field goals when you win. He did have 57 yards on the ground though, so a little bit of a quintessential Fields. This game sucked. Like, do we have to say much else? Like, I think we're probably the same.
Power
boat.
right through it.
Yeah, TJ Watt was great. Steelers defense was great. That's just Steelers defense good. Kicker good. Sometimes they win games like that. It's like caveman football. This game, the Cardinals Cowboys of last year almost.
Pretty close.
The Cardinals blew it. They were up at 17-3 at once, at one point rather in the first half, and they lose 34-28. Josh Allen, Ryan, take it away.
He was
Josh
excellent.
Allen this year.
He was excellent this game. I don't want to say the Cardinals single-handedly, because you said they blew it. I don't want to say they single-handedly blew it to Josh Allen, but pretty close. 18 for 23, 232 yards after kind of a sluggish start out of the gate. But 2 touchdowns in the air, 2 touchdowns on the ground, 9 rushes, 39 yards. Was putting his body in harm's way all afternoon long. Had the helicopter into the end zone touchdown, which was crazy to see from Josh Allen. He was great in this game. And he needed to be, because obviously, like you said, the Cardinals, we talked about this, I think, last week or maybe on the preview show, like, don't expect them to be terrible. Like, they could be scrappy. They could maybe scrap a couple of wins together. And as you just said, kind of that Cardinals game from a couple of years ago, very similar vibes to it. Kyler wasn't terrific through the air, was pretty good on the ground. James Conner, I feel like, has his usual stat line, 16 rushes, a touchdown, 50 yards, 3 catches for 33 yards as well. Marvin Harrison, I haven't seen people concerned, but a little bit of a jarring stat line for a talent at his level. 1 catch, 3 targets, and 4 yards to start off his NFL career. Not great for the rookie, but I feel like I'm not all that worried.
Yeah, I wouldn't be worried if I'm a Cardinals fan, but I'd be a little pissed. Yeah,
I feel like it was more to Kyler, because there's the clip on Twitter I've seen going around where he is like wide open right in front of the end zone, and Kyler's probably just like scrambling around in the backfield somewhere. Maybe that's because of Rousseau, as you're going to get to in a second. But
it would be funny if he couldn't see over his line. Like there's always
that's strong possibility too.
Nah, but he's
never know.
Knowing Kyler, he's probably on the move a little bit.
Yeah.
Greg Rousseau. I saw somebody. Did I see somebody have him as a sack leader prediction off to a decent start? I think I saw it on Twitter somewhere. Okay. I think he had 3 sacks in this. Is that correct?
He did. Yep. Yeah, 3 sacks, 3 tackles for losses, 2 quarterback hits, and a forced fumble.
Yeah, and he's an interesting case study, because I think he was amongst an earlier wave, maybe not the start of this, of like guys that are like prototypical, like, hey, they're not the most polished, they're a little bit of a project, but they're freakish in size and athleticism, and if we can tune them into the right guy, they're a guy. And we've seen Greg Rousseau make plays before, but when you're a few years in the league now and you start the season with 3 sacks, maybe we do see a Greg Rousseau explosion this year.
Hmm.
So
Perhaps.
yeah, because he is a large man to be playing edge rusher. So I don't remember exactly how tall he is, but I think I remember he was like freakishly tall. Yeah, he's 267 pounds. That's relatively big for an edge rusher.
Say
And I think
so,
he's
yeah.
like 6'5". He's like 6'6". Like that's insane for an edge rusher with that much power. Good luck. Good luck opposing offensive lines.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Can I mention something randomly about the Patriots game that I wanted to mention earlier and forgot?
Sure, go ahead.
Something to attack for Keon White potentially. Damon Lewis, who left for the Panthers, was their left guard. He left for a lot of money to the Panthers in Seattle from Seattle. So maybe we see Keon White on the left side a little bit
Okay.
more so.
Move
You
around a
know,
little bit. Wouldn't hate that.
picking on Tomlinson, who's been on the injury report a little bit, and hopefully besting the potential stud in the making, Charles Cross. So
Mhm.
just wanted to put that out there, just so I could say it,
Okay.
because I forgot earlier. If you heard it in the middle of this and you added it to the Patriots analysis, appreciate you. Anything else we want to add on Cardinals and Bills?
Not much. Not that I
Not
can think
much.
of.
Will Levis and Caleb Williams both did not play all that well in the season opener here, but the
They
Bears
both kind of
end
stunk.
up winning 24-17.
Is the sky falling in Chicago?
You'll
Week
take the
1.
win, I guess, if you're Chicago.
Mhm.
But losing Roman Dunze for a little bit isn't great. Maybe this is a feeling out process. Maybe Caleb's going to struggle a little bit, but I'd have to look. Oh, they're playing the Texans, so maybe
Good
he'll
luck.
struggle again. But
I'd have to think so.
yeah, um, not great, not great. But he didn't throw a pick, so you'll take that. Tony Pollard looked like Tony Pollard. That's good. I mean, I don't think they could have done much better replacing him unless they got Saquon being Henry. I mean,
Mhm.
so he looks good. Chicago's defense is going to win them games, and it did here in large part. So wasn't too crazy. The craziest thing to come out of this game was the pick Will Levis threw, and he fell to his knees. That has become a meme
The
now.
meme, yeah.
That is going to get
That's one of the
incredible
worst
usage.
worst throws and worst decisions I've ever seen a quarterback make. What are you trying to do there?
Yeah,
Like,
like I had a little bit of a thought process last week of like, okay, I don't expect Will Levis to be very good this year, but like maybe he takes a step at times.
just don't
This
blow
is
games. Like,
this is the type of Will Levis that kept me a little low on him in this draft here, and
mhm.
it's gonna be rough if he has games like this, because he was not good. 19 for 32, 127 yards, a touchdown, and 2 picks, 36 rushing yards. Nothing to write home about. Neither was it. Neither did Caleb. It was really rough quarterback play. Jonathan Owens gets a blocked punt touchdown. The Bears win the football game. A start you will kind of take if you're a Bears fan. The Caleb
yeah, I
Williams
was gonna
era,
say
kind of.
I'm kind of curious to see where Bears fans are because I feel like they're not the fan base that like overreacts about stuff. So like I can't imagine this 1-0 start. They're all losing their minds. Or like again, like I kind of joked that Caleb Williams isn't the answer. Um, but it's a weird spot to be in. Like you have a good
Yeah,
defense, it seems like, but then again, it's like you have a good defense or is Will Levis just stupid? Like I feel like it kind of goes both ways. But I mean, the defense did do other stuff in the game to not just have the one interception. Again, that was one of the worst throws I've ever seen. So maybe you hang your hat on your defense. The offense, I think, is going to get better. It's a work in progress. You have a ton of new players on that side of the ball. Williams, it's going to be a little bit of a struggle for him out of the gate. So if I'm a Bears fan, I'm not going to get too high about this game, but I'm also not going to get too low about his struggles or anything like that. Like DeAndre Swift had
yeah,
a horrible game too. The Titans have a good run defense. So I'm not. If you're a Bears fan, I can't imagine you're too concerned about this. Maybe the little problems they had in this game.
yeah. I think the tight ends combined for 3 yards too, so maybe get the tight ends involved a little bit
Yeah,
next
Cole
game.
Kmet was pretty good last year, so
Yeah,
I'd look to target him.
yeah, yeah. Hello, Maya Edric 11 in the Twitch chat. How are you? I hope I pronounced your name correct. Texans 29, Colts 27. We had a nice little AFC South showdown. Maybe AFC South showdowns are out of their gloomy period, as we've seen it at numerous times in the past in the show. CJ Stroud, quite efficient, quite solid. Joe Mixon looking like a great
Dominant.
fit.
Yeah.
30 carries, 159 yards. a touchdown, and 19 yards on 3 catches. Nico Collins, very good. Stephon Diggs gets in the end zone twice. And Tank Dell, I mean, when you play this good, I guess
Kind of
you'll
the
take an
forgotten man,
occasional
yeah.
40-yard performance. But hey, everybody contributed. You'll take that. Anthony Richardson only threw 9 completions, but had 212 yards, largely because of the bomb that he threw to Alec Pierce. That is the Anthony Richardson you're hoping for. But he did score on the ground too. You lose this one by a hair. Texans played good. It was a good game. But I don't know. I'm not hanging my head too low on this one if I'm the Colts. And, I think there's reason to believe that Jonathan Taylor can be more like Jonathan Taylor. Did get in the end zone, but only averaged 3 yards a carry.
Yeah, that was the big thing for me too. And I feel like I don't have it on the stat sheet, so I can't imagine he did anything, but pretty sure didn't have a single catch or a single target. So that's a little surprising with Jonathan Taylor because you kind of think of him as a little not as big as a dual threat as some of these other guys like McCaffrey or such. But he has had some work in the passing game plenty of times. So you would have thought maybe they get him a little bit more involved in that on that side of the ball. Richardson, like you said, was good for a couple of big plays here, but the 9 completions is a little surprising. I think it obviously too just kind of goes into all the hype about the Texans might be legit because they look good on both sides of the ball. And you mentioned the offense. Kind of goes without saying, good luck game planning for that offense because you had pretty much every one of the big players except for Dalton Schultz, who kind of forgets there at this point now with the additions they made in Mixon and Diggs, as you said. Like that offense is going to be perfectly fine as long as everyone stays healthy, and it's going to be a nightmare for defensive coordinators to try to game plan for it. Like again, like you said, you see Tank Dell with 3 catches and 40 yards with the season he put up together last year. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, but pretty enjoyable football game. Dolphins, Jaguars, little Florida battle. Tyreek Hill arrested for the game. Calais Campbell was also involved.
Thoughts on that? You want to touch on the Tyreek Hill
he played a little
situation
revenge.
really quick?
I'm not going to comment on
Okay,
political police
fair
stuff,
enough.
to be honest. But
Yep. I'm sure people have seen the video, so people can
yeah.
make their own assumptions. Not a great look,
Yeah.
but as you said to me too, like there are people that have decided like Tyreek Hill roll the window down. When
Yeah.
you're told to roll the window down, on the other side of it, for me, if you're the cop, let the guy open the door. Don't rip him out of his car when he is getting out of it. So
Yeah,
there's
there were
both sides of
there
the
were bad
argument,
looks
but
on both sides.
absolutely,
I'm going to leave that up to the people to decide which one they're
they
going to
want to
hop
fall
on
on.
because
Yeah,
we don't really talk too deep into politics
no.
here. But it was a rough look of an incident. We'll say that. Did play with fire under his ass. 7 catches on 12 targets for 130 yards. Tua, quarterback of the week. Tua. Shout out to our boy Pat. He said Tua end of week 1 passing leader, and he was right. So
Good for
Patty
him.
knows. Jalen Waddle was excellent too. Achane total 100 total yards and a touchdown. Might not play this week. Raheem Mostert, I think,
Already
might be
out.
ruled out.
He's already ruled out. Yeah.
He's already ruled out. Trevor Lawrence had a touchdown, but didn't really do a whole lot. Sacked 3 times. Etienne gets the end zone, but you'd like more out of him.
Had a big
And
fumble too.
Kirk, Ingram, and Davis were all pretty quiet.
Yeah, I didn't put it in here, but this was
Actually
kind
no.
of
Davis might have been okay.
he had a decent game, I feel like, but it was more so I was going to say the Brian Thomas Jr. game. He had the most receptions.
Yeah.
Might not have the most targets.
The touchdown pass was sick though. Everybody
absolutely.
was gushing all over
Yeah.
that like anticipation pass, whatever you want to call it, lead pass.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like. Is that even a lead pass? That I think that was just perfect. Like
I mean, I would consider it
Trevor
throw
Lawrence
to a
just kind of
space
went
and
like unconscious for a second and threw the perfect like lead ball. Like
you kind of
it
make
was-
sure if you're a Jaguars
it's
fan,
like
wish
he
Trevor
predicted the
Lawrence do
future.
that more.
Yeah, like that's like what Trevor Lawrence can do.
Mhm.
Like it's like he knew it was going to be perfect. Like it's like he predicted the future. He knew how Brian Thomas Jr. was going to run. Brian Thomas Jr. was excellent. Good in generating separation, made some plays. Looked really good. Looked like the guy that led the nation in touchdowns last year.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I mean, it's okay. Like I don't think Jaguars fans should be like tremendously upset, but you lose this one on a close one, and I don't think the Dolphins feel that great either, to be honest.
No, I was just gonna say that like this is a game. I know it's week 1, so this might be kind of cliche and dumb to say, but like week 1, this game didn't really prove a whole lot for me. Like the Dolphins, as we know, beat the mediocre to bad teams. Jaguars, at least to me, are a mediocre team. And on the flip side of it, Jacksonville can't beat the good teams. And like the Dolphins, as we know, they get off to a hot start at home with the weather and everything. You have been on this since day one. This is like the prototypical Trevor Lawrence stat line, like 12 for 21, not even 175 yards passing and 1 touchdown and a couple of sacks. Like you throw in an
Yeah.
interception or two there, and that is like Trevor Lawrence as we have come to know him, or you
People
have
do
been
this
again.
every year now, but it's like the screenshot. It was like Brady had like 5,500 receiving yards. Breeze had like 5,600. Manning had a bunch. Rivers had a bunch. And it was like
Mhm.
the days
We were
we used to
spoiled.
have. Like we
Yeah,
were so
I
spoiled.
did
I'm
see
like,
that meme.
oh,
Yep.
it's so true. Like so
Yep.
many quarterbacks with minimal completions and 160 yards, a touchdown, maybe a pick in there, a fumble, whatever.
Mhm.
Um, the Panthers, man, like
Who gets
this
a win?
team,
Who gets a win first? You think this year, the Panthers or the Giants?
the Giants,
Okay.
the Giants. Wow, that's crazy. Um,
0-17 for both, unless
oh
they
my,
play
like
each other. I
the
don't know if they play each other
Panthers,
this year, but
the Panthers and the Giants are both offensively bad. Um, to let up 47 points to the Saints when Chris Olave didn't even do anything,
didn't have to. Like, it really
and
didn't.
they beat the fuck out of the Panthers. 13 for 30, 161 yards, and 2 picks and a rushing touchdown for Bryce Young. You can't blame the offensive line really anymore, unless Ike Ekwonu sucks because he's like supposed to be the franchise left tackle of the future. I feel like he's kind of been underwhelming. They signed Damian Lewis and Robert Hunt, two of the better guards in the market, maybe the two best. He has more protection now, significantly. He's just not good.
No. As
Not breaking news here. He is not good. And it is going to become more and more of a mystery of how he went first overall. And of course, as everyone knows, over CJ Stroud.
it's going to become one of the worst draft picks in NFL history. It's the way that these two guys are trending. Like, and I know we as Patriots fans have watched a couple of years of Mac Jones here. I, without a doubt, say this 100% believe it. Bryce Young is the dumbest quarterback in the NFL. Like, I think I either texted this to somebody who tweeted out or said, I can't remember who I said this to, but like the balls he throws to defenders that end up as interceptions are better balls than he throws to his receivers. Like the interceptions he throws are directly to, like, never tipped in the air, never anything. They are like, here, just take this ball. I don't want to play quarterback anymore. The 2 interceptions he had this week or in week 1, absolutely atrocious.
So bad. And they made Derek Carr look amazing. I'm not going to just like shit on Derek Carr because I think he still can be Derek Carr.
Mm-hmm.
He looked really good, but I mean, when you're playing with such
Playing a
little
JV
resistance
level
against
football
you,
team, like
that does help. Everyone ate on offense. Defense was great. Yeah. If there's a team to not win a game this year, I think it's the Panthers.
absolutely. At least they have
They'll
their
run
own
like
first round draft
them.
pick this year, so that'll be good. That's a plus for them finally.
Yeah, and it's like a lower quality draft class.
True.
For quarterback, maybe at least. We'll see how guys like Carson Beck and Quinn Ewers evolve. I don't think Quinn Ewers is gonna be in the mix for the #1 pick. And they're man, it's gonna be funny to see like if they just give up on Bryce Young if they want a quarterback. But it is a great year for offensive tackles and a couple edge rushers. So maybe we'll see an edge rusher go first. Maybe we'll see Will Johnson from Michigan go first. But I would like to move on from this game, even though it
Sure,
was
I'm
high
right there
flying
with
for
you.
the Saints. Like this game was offensive. I can't believe I would say a game like 47 points on one side was offensive, but it was. And not tremendously unexpected at the same time. Chargers 22, Raiders 10. Jim Harbaugh wins in his return. J.K. Dobbins is healthy and looks excellent.
Can you cross your fingers and like hope the guy, like, wrap this guy in bubble wrap, please? Because like obviously
Like
he's very capable of succeeding when he is healthy and ready to go.
he is. And it was funny because Keenan Allen and Mike Williams didn't really do a whole lot in their debuts for their new teams, and the Chargers won. So maybe they'll look like geniuses. Maybe J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards are getting them to the playoffs, and Lad McConkey will win Rookie of the Year. I don't know. McConkey didn't light the world on fire, but I mean, 5 catches, 39 yards of a touchdown. You'll take that. And as you have noted here, the Harbaugh influence is felt on defense. And
Yeah.
Joe Alt blanked Max Crosby.
Did you really? I did not know that. Good
Yes.
for him.
As a natural left tackle, he played right tackle and shut down one of the best edge rushers in the league.
Off to a pretty hot start then.
You got to watch the film. Like, look up Joe Alt, Max Crosby on Twitter. Watch the tape. Like, phenomenal. Like, oh my god. Like, really, man, just really impressive. But yeah, I mean, this is just what you can come to expect, I guess, from the Chargers. They're going to win games if they can, do this, and they're not going to play a team led by Gardner Minshew every week. But
True.
Zamir White had a rough game, but like he looked fast on some of those runs, so maybe he can, take some ownership in that backfield. But Alexander Madison had the better game. But yeah, I mean, you'll take this for the Chargers. They're a team that wants to get Justin Herbert into the playoffs again. So.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the prototypical, this is what you're going to expect, I feel like, with Harbaugh. You're not going to have a big passing attack, even though you do have a very good quarterback in Justin Herbert. It's going to be ground and pound. It's going to be winning games on defense. You get Khalil Mack turning back the clock in this game, 3 tackles, a sack and a half, 2 quarterback hits, a pass deflection, and a fumble recovery. He looked excellent in this game. Bosa had a sack as well, too. So that's obviously your 2 big guys on defense getting it done. Like the Chargers are I feel like, have to win a lot of games like this early on as they try to figure out that offense a little bit. Good to see Ladd McConkey, a guy that a lot of people are high on, kind of take the reins. I think he led them in targets, so maybe he's the top guy on that offense at least for 1 week.
He should
Obviously, he should be, because I think he's better than Palmer, and Quentin Johnston is kind of an enigma. Like the guy has a talent, but can't put it together.
Aaron Rodgers is the enigma.
That's true. Aaron Rodgers is the enigma. You're right. Good call.
God, I will not be able to watch that bullshit. Holy shit.
Jets fans might not be able to watch their team this year too, with how that game went down and how Aaron Rodgers looked, but we'll get to that a little later.
True. Seahawks 26, Broncos 20.
Another gross game.
Welcome to the Bo Nix experience, Broncos fans.
Did you enjoy it?
Ground game was pretty good for the Seahawks. The Broncos hung in there, but this game, I wasn't really that into this game. I'm not gonna lie. Like, you have Geno Smith, and I like Geno Smith, but Geno Smith for Bo Nix doesn't really move the needle. But Kenneth Walker was fantastic.
He was.
So
I just remembered too in this game, because I wasn't really paying attention. There was one reason I was paying attention to this game. And now that I remember back on it, I hope the Patriots beat the Seahawks by like 50 points, because I had the under in this game. It was the last under I needed for a parlay that I would have hit. And they let Bo Nix walk into the end zone at the end of the game for a garbage touchdown. I was not very happy.
God damn.
So I hope they destroy the Seahawks this week just out of spite.
Pain. Yeah, I needed the Dolphins to cover 3.5, and they won by 3. So
yeah, I had that, and then them. Dallas plus 2.5, because that was a ridiculous spread against the Browns for some reason.
Yeah, I can't believe I didn't take that. I forgot.
And I think the Patriots game I had in that one. So the Patriots plus 8.5. But no, I lost it because I needed the Dolphins to win by more than 3.5, and they won by a walk-off field goal. So that 2 pains right out of the gate. Football's back, baby.
Pain.
Yeah.
Cowboys 33, Browns 17. Johnny Fanta
game,
Please tell me you saw the Johnny Fanta video.
I did not.
Oh,
I'll have to look that up. I'm sorry to let you down.
Great.
Okay.
Dak got 231 million of the 240 million guaranteed, which is insane. Rocked my socks off when Siri read that to me in the car as I have an itch on my leg in the middle of my point here.
Okay.
This page is now
Siri, shut up.
No, Siri's reading something else. Perfect timing. She have another report on a quarterback getting grossly overpaid?
No. The Browns. Yeah, Siri read it to me in the car. I didn't ask Siri to tell me the contract. That would be very boomer of me.
Fair enough.
The Browns. Yikes. Deshaun Watson has really lost the ability. Just maybe not completely, but pretty damn close.
No, completely. 100% completely. He is so washed. It's not even funny. They should be turning. I forgot they had Jameis as their backup. They should be turning to him within the next couple weeks.
Yes, bad person, bad guy. More legal stuff comes out after.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Too.
They should turn to Jameis next week. Who am I kidding? Deshaun Watson should be done in the NFL.
I don't want to be this guy, but like I do kind of believe that was tactical that came out to kind of like give them an excuse
Hmm.
to get out of the contract. And what was in the ESPN article or whatever I saw on Twitter, the fact that they get out of it due to some legal thing,
Okay.
maybe putting that news out
Tinfoil
there
hat,
again.
Mike.
I don't know. Seems a
Okay.
little convenient
Little,
with the timing
I
there.
didn't know that side of it. So that this timing's a little weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
Still a
Yeah. I mean,
scumbag though.
the Browns won hearts last year with Joe Flacco. Do it with Jameis. It can't get
Really,
worse than this
really think you'd be
performance.
in a better spot to start him. You
And
have a
Jameis is
quarterback that can at least
awesome.
throw the ball. Yeah.
He's made mistakes in the past, but um he hasn't made the mistakes and done the horrible acts that Sean Watson has. So
Yeah, I was just gonna say that too. That's the kind of the turn. Like if things start to go real sour for Cleveland, that's the turnaround they need. Like that is the
yeah, you need
perfect
a
backup
Jameis.
personality to have to turn from that a-hole in Deshaun Watson to you go to Jameis, try to
Oh
get
my
people back
god.
on your side. Like,
What if they get rid of Deshaun Watson somehow and bring Flacco back and have Flacco and Winston?
oh, you'd have to work a trade with the Colts in that case.
That'd be awesome. Can you
Yeah.
imagine to bring it back?
Mhm.
Ultimate vibes in the QB room. Yeah, I mean Dallas just dominated them and rightfully so. The Browns were not good. They were
No.
really not. Completely forgot until I just saw this that Zeke hit the end zone in this game. Forgot about that. Dak
I
didn't even
didn't
really
take
have
him
to
as
do
a
much.
anytime touchdown. I have no idea.
Wow.
That's when I should have done. Sorry to cut you off
Yeah.
there.
No, you're good.
Just rambling.
Defense was fantastic. Kendricks and Lawrence both had 2 sacks. And so it might be rough for the Browns this year
Hmm.
unless they make the right decision.
And this
Unleash
wasn't even
Jameis.
yeah, please give Browns fans something to root for. And the game really wasn't even I feel like the biggest talking point because you and I kind of talked about this. Like I texted you yesterday, I had a coworker of mine ask if we were going to talk about Tom Brady, and
Yeah, I don't
his
have anything to
debut.
add here. I
No,
didn't
did
hear
you?
any
I
of
was
it.
going to ask if we were able to see anything
I didn't
on
hear any of
social
it.
media. All right, so I will take it then. And like I told my coworker, uh, not a great start for Tom Brady. I feel like a lot of people kind of feel the same way. Like I'm gonna give the guy the benefit of the doubt. Like I texted you and I told her he got a horrible game to start. Like this game was over after 2 quarters. So like now you have a rookie broadcast guy that is clearly uncomfortable in the booth to begin his career in that profession. Now you're gonna have the guy try to riff for 2 quarters and an hour and a half or whatever it ended up taking. So like I'll give Brady the benefit of the doubt there, but like I don't know. Like I can't remember. We talked about this. I think when the news first came out. I can't remember what our thoughts were. Like if we thought Brady was going to be good or not. Um, it was just expected to me. Like I didn't expect a lot out of the gate. And again, it was robotic to start. There was some uncomfortable pauses and uncomfortable moments because he just wasn't up for it yet. I think he got better as the game went on, but it's going to be a work in progress. Like I'm not ready to. I've seen some people that are like Tom Brady is the worst thing that broadcasting is the worst thing to happen to football. Like who would have thought Tom Brady, as great as a quarterback he was, is like the worst broadcaster? And like I'm not going to go that far. Give the guy a couple of weeks, but I don't disagree with people in the fact that it was not a great product out of the gate. Like I texted you, had the awkward kind of missed fist bump with whoever the
I heard
analyst,
that.
the rules analyst guy was. So that was kind of awkward and also kind of funny. But yeah, like I'm not ready to give up on Brady yet, but it was not a polished product by any means.
No, that's what I feel like everybody said. And I mean, some people probably just want this as an opportunity to
Wanted to
say Tom
fail,
Brady's
yeah.
bad at something. So, um, yeah, your quarterback can't relate. As this is the
Mhm.
one bad thing I think he's bad at. So,
Yeah.
um, Commanders and Bucks. This game was moderately interesting. A lot of points. Wasn't the craziest higher scoring game, but like was really impressed by Baker yet again. Like what a way to start for a guy that we talked like at points in the past 2 years looked like he was on his last legs of his career potentially. Like maybe he'd become a backup if he wasn't going to find a home, and he's found a home. 24 for 30, 289, and 4 touchdowns. 3 for 21 on the ground. White involved, Godwin, Evans involved, Jalen McMillan gets in the end zone, the rookie from Washington, teammate of Jalen Polk. I love Jalen McMillan. Just really, really solid for Bucks fans. Like you got to feel good, and in a easily winnable division, like you got to feel like you're doing that again so far.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think I said it a couple weeks ago, had questions about this team's with the coaching changes, the offensive coordinator being gone, wondering if they can kind of catch magic or lightning in a bottle again. Um, and off to a good start, proving last year wasn't a fluke. Like you said, Maker had a great game. Maker, yeah. Baker had a great game. Got to wonder if Browns fans are maybe kicking themselves for that one because, kind of a what a timing there. Deshaun Watson looks like he should be out of the league, and Baker Mayfield is playing at a very high level.
Oh my God.
Mike Evans was Mike Evans. Good to see Chris Godwin have a great game because, I mean, there were some times last year where he looked a little sluggish coming off the injury, not 100%. 8 for 8, 83 yards and a touchdown for him. Rashad White wasn't great on the ground, but a good pass catching back. So that offense is still as dynamic as it ever was. And again, like I said earlier, Jaden Daniels, not a crazy stat line, but did look good on the ground. As we know, you said it, I think, a couple weeks ago, that Commanders team is going to be a work in progress. So it's going to be a slow build for them.
Bucky Irving, the rookie back at Oregon, was involved too.
He was good too. Yeah, he was better on the ground, obviously, than White was. So kind of a nice little dynamic there building.
Good for Bucky. We need a good Bucky in the NFL. Did you see? You reminded me of this with the Baker and Deshaun thing. The Cleveland radio show where the guy just lost it.
Yes, lost his mind over it. Yeah.
Oh my God,
dude, you have a sports talk radio show. Like, let that kind of marinate and.
Oh my God!
Like your job to talk about these type of things.
Do I not know something about this guy, or did he get like lit up to holy hell about like some takes he had about Baker Deshaun in the past, and like was a powder keg like waiting to happen again when somebody pushed his buttons, or did this guy just want to freak out? I don't know. He
also freaked out wild and was like, "We're not doing this again," or like, "We're not starting this early." I'm like, especially if it's like the first like caller of the day. Like, I don't know if it was an afternoon show or a morning show, but like, dude, like
now other people probably gonna bust your balls too.
Absolutely. If I was an a-hole, I'd be calling to that show every week being like, "Hey, can we talk about Baker Mayfield?" Like, especially if Baker has another good game and Deshaun Watson plays like crap and then more stuff comes out off field. Like, just to piss the guy off, if you're gonna act like that much of a child, I'd call in every week. Be like, you catch Baker's performance in the Bucs game just to watch the guy snap.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Baker was really good, and honestly, I think you'll take it if you're a Commanders fan with Jane Daniels.
Absolutely,
2 touchdowns on the ground and pretty decent passing, I guess you'll take for game 1. So, excuse me. This is another game. I was very sleepy. This was Sunday, so very much zonked from the wedding. Stayed up for as long as I could. Lions and Rams, 26-20 OT final. Montgomery was great. Gibbs was great. Jameson Williams did 3 celebrations on 1 touchdown, which was pretty hilarious.
Yep.
This is also a guy that I think eats double cheeseburgers with Oreo McFlurry in them. So, have you seen that? Probably kind of decent, I'll say. I would try it.
With McFlurries in the...
You pour McFlurry on top, like inside on top of the cheeseburger. I don't know if you do pickles. I don't know if you do ketchup or mustard or anything.
I hope not.
I wouldn't.
No.
If you're just talking like a cheeseburger with a little bit of McFlurry, like, I'd try it.
I guess, yeah, because I mean,
that
comes out to like a burger with like an Oreo milkshake. So I guess that wouldn't be the worst. Like, there's definitely been crazier things put on burgers. So yeah, probably wouldn't be the worst thing.
You got to separate the portions here and kind of think of it like you just did. So I like that.
Yep.
Good game though. Cooper Kupp had 21 targets.
Insane.
And of course, the Nakua injury. Fuck. My first round pick, one of them. My first round pick.
Not good.
Sucks. 21 targets.
Football.
14 catches and 121 yards for Mr. Cooper Kupp. Tyler Johnson and Demarcus Robinson had to step up a little bit, and they did. Tyler Johnson, maybe this is a new home for him for his time after the Bucs. And it didn't matter for the Rams, unfortunately. They lose 26-20 in overtime.
Yeah, I mean, this was just the Lions full on display. I mean, I know Amon-Ra St. Brown had a tough game. He was shut down, but like you said, Williams steps up. That gives them a pretty good 1-2 punch. Laporta had his moments. And in my opinion, they still have the best overall backfield in football. Like, you saw both play styles on display. Gibbs was excellent with the shiftiness in the pass catching game. And then that overtime game was just feed David Montgomery, run it right down people's throats, and then power it into the end zone in the end. And you're going to win a lot of games doing that. Like, if the Lions can control the line of scrimmage, as they did for a decent amount of this game. And again, in that overtime, they possessed it for the only, possession of the overtime period. They'll be good. The Nakua injuries, obviously, I think is going to hamper the Rams because you got to think there's going to be teams that are going to try to hone in on Cooper Kupp. Like, I can't imagine. Maybe I'm wrong, but like to see that stat line, like you said, 21 targets, like that's the one thing where you knock the Lions a little bit. Like, all right, you couldn't do a little bit more to slow him down because that's kind of insane.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Cooper Cup fantasy owners should be kind of pumped right now. So
I am very pumped.
fuck you, man.
Sorry.
Damn it.
I don't have
I
him in
didn't
our
even
league.
remember that.
Yeah.
Oh, not in our league?
I don't think so. Maybe
Oh, I
I
was
do.
like, what
No,
the
I
fuck,
haven't.
man?
I definitely
Salt
have
in
him
the
in two
wound.
leagues. What?
I
I
don't,
have him
I
in the
don't
one
know.
that I'm secretly running for my dad that dropped 163 points on people this week.
Yep. Yeah,
Do
they
I
just
have?
let you draft a god squad in
They
that
did.
league.
That's what happens when I texted you. 3 defenses and 3 kickers get drafted in the first 100 picks of the draft. Like you get what you deserve. No, I
Yeah.
don't have. I don't have Cooper Cup in our league.
Oh, okay. I didn't think so.
No.
Which why I was kind of like thrown off and upset for a second. 32-19. Scorigami.
Ooh,
Jets and
already.
49ers. Week 1, I think it's the 1085th. I walked in. This is a shout out to Matt. He'll listen to this tomorrow. I'd ask him something yesterday, so I knocked on his door, and on his laptop, he is just looking at the Scorigami website.
Okay. Didn't
It
like
was
where that was going
so
when you said you walked in and he was looking on his
It was so
laptop.
funny. It
But
was so
okay,
good.
definitely worse than he could have been
I
looking at. That's good.
unintentionally set that up in a funny way. So,
Okay, good. Because you had me really
um,
worried there for a second. I'm like, we
no,
might we
no,
might get canceled here within
no,
the next
no,
10
no,
seconds.
no, no, no.
Okay. That would have been
Thirty-two
embarrassing for
nineteen.
Matt too if you admitted that. Like I would have felt
Yeah.
bad.
Aaron Rodgers' first full game. They fumbled on the fourth snap, or the fourth snap
Yes, yep.
after he was injured on the fourth snap last year. So that fourth snap is cursed until further notice. Jordan Mason ran like an undrafted free agent that is, well, from a couple years ago, but
Looking to
undrafted
prove
free agent
something.
that wants to be running back too with Elijah Mitchell out and Isaiah Guerrero in the mix from Louisville. I think I saw McCaffrey's not playing week 2 as well, so
Yep.
Jordan Mason will have another shot. Debo was held
Threat Debo.
held in check through the air for like a chunk of this game, but ended up making an impact, gets a rushing touchdown and 5 catches on 9 targets, 54 yards. Jawan Jennings, a little banged up, but he has a solid game. Alan Lazard, maybe reuniting something with Mr. Aaron Rodgers. Garrett Wilson had a good first half, then had like 2 catches in the second half, so he was held in check, or Aaron Rodgers wasn't looking at him. I don't know. Maybe he had Charvarius Ward in his grill all day. It was a good football game. I didn't have much wrong with this game. Aaron Rodgers like made some throws, but didn't look spectacular. Where are we at?
Yeah, this game reminded me that I hate myself for picking the Jets to win the division. Because like I should have taken the same boat you did, and the same boat a lot of people I feel like did that picked the Dolphins to win the division. That it's still the Jets. I still need to see it. Because it did not look good. There were moments, there were flashes. Brees Hall had his moments. Like you said, Garrett Wilson got off to a hot start and then did nothing the
He
rest
had
of the
one
game.
carry inside the 5.
Yeah,
He had one
that's
carry inside the 5
all
all
of
of
last
last
year.
year.
Yeah, so maybe they're onto something there. But
Like,
Aaron Rodgers looked like an old quarterback at times. And I was gonna say like the 49ers, I know CMC is a huge part of that offense. It's gonna sound dumb to say that they may not miss him, but if Jordan Mason's putting up these stat lines and you're running all over the Jets, who are supposed to have a
yeah,
good
and you
run
had
defense this
Debo
year,
Samuel as a running back.
yeah, like I said, dual threat Debo's back where he's running the ball in and having a couple of occasional catches here and there. You got Ayuk, said it
Yeah,
right this
like
time. And
who
George
fucked
Kittle.
up on that diving catch, didn't have it. As
Yeah,
it turns out, holding out can hurt you.
it does. But I mean, that offense, that team is going to be fine until it gets to the Super Bowl again this year and
Yeah,
the
and
idiot
like
head coach forgets to run the ball. Like,
Debo, 8 carries for 23 yards, like got in but didn't light the world on fire. He did have that one run where he made like 3 guys miss deep in the backfield, which was
yeah.
pretty sweet though.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, it's typical 49ers. Like, you lose CMC, it should hurt you, and it just doesn't because that team is so deep on
No.
offense that there's like no problem.
Yeah, this is the 49ers we've come to know. So
Yep.
I think that is going to wrap it up for our week 1 recap.
Yes, it is. On to week 2 predictions that, like I said,
On
you
to
you
week 2.
did very well in. To the
Good
tune of
start.
a 13-3 record to my 10-6. Because I went a little too crazy and a little too outlandish with some of the picks.
It's okay. It's okay.
It happens. It's week 1. You got to throw a couple of curveballs in there.
You do. Bills and Dolphins. I'm going with the Dolphins at home, and this is a coin flip. But I'm going with the Dolphins at home. And yeah, it's a coin flip. Like, I don't know if we're going to see the Dolphins look like the Dolphins and maybe they put up like 35 points, but I think there is a scenario where they do win this game. But the Bills showed us something. I still think there's something to be unlocked early in the season too in the tight end realm. So they can do that. That's going to help them even more. And yeah, I mean, going my gut, it's the Dolphins. I think it'll be close.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. This comes down to, again, if this was a Bills game in Buffalo, I'd probably pick the Bills here, but it's the Dolphins. Like I said earlier, Dolphins get off to a hot start. Teams tend to struggle in Miami at the start of the year. Bills, almost lost the game to the Cardinals last week. I think Miami takes this one, like you said, in a close game.
Yes. Jets at Titans. Aaron Rodgers and the Jets go to Tennessee and win because I don't know about the Titans yet. I
Yeah, there's
know
too many questions.
what we've discussed in the past, but I need to see how it looks in the field a little more. They have weapons offensively. They just don't have it all put together, and this is their first year without Vrabel. It's going to take some time. Will Levis might just not be good, so I will sort of begrudgingly go with the Jets on the road.
I'm right there with you again. I think this is a game where their defense bounces back a little bit, makes Will Levis look as bad as he did in week 1 against a decent defense in the Bears. I think the Jets defense is obviously projected to be better than the Bears. And Aaron Rodgers has a get back, get right game. I don't think it's going to be pretty. I think this is going to be another ugly game, but I think the Jets find a way to squeak this one out and, get back to 1-1 and maybe feel a little better about themselves heading into Thursday Night Football against the Patriots.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this game could be a little ugly. I don't know.
Yeah.
Giants and Commanders, speaking of games that are going
What
to
an
be
ugly
ugly.
game, yeah. Tie
Commanders.
question mark?
Maybe
Did you
tie.
ever consider it?
Jaden Daniels will be able to run, but he will need to be aware of the big fellas that they do have, like Leonard Williams, Dexter Lawrence, and not Kayvon Thibodeau. He was not that good. But Brian Burns, what I meant. Kayvon Thibodeau, also loser. That snappy ass answer he gave to the media member for no reason, just trying to be a tough guy.
Didn't see that.
Yeah, I don't know. I liked how Jaden Daniels played. I think, the Commanders are a little bit of a better team than the Giants. Maybe they'll prove to be more or better, I guess I'll just say, than we think
Or
than the
bigger.
Giants in comparison. Good English. Commanders at home.
Yeah, it's the Commanders for me. I'm not gonna say it's too crazy for me to say that I trust Jaden Daniels to win me a football game after one start, then I trust Daniel Jones to win a game after how his career has gone so far. So Commanders for me, this game's gonna suck. And there was a part of me, like I said, that for a split second contemplated a disgusting like 12-12 overtime tie.
No.
Yeah.
Drew Lock comes in. Daniel Jones gets benched. Malik Neighbors, 130 yards and a touchdown. How about that?
See, do I start like that's the conundrum I have in my $100 league right now? Again, to go back to fantasy really quick, do I start Malik Neighbors against a terrible secondary, or do I start Jordan Mason against who knows what the Vikings run defense is after 1 week?
I would start Jordan Mason.
That's, I think I'm leaning that way. It's a
Malik
flex
Neighbors
spot,
could
so it's not like
fry.
it's a
Malik Neighbors could fry Emmanuel Forbes because it hasn't looked super great for Emmanuel Forbes yet. Thank you, Commanders. I think the Ravens are going to beat the Raiders by 2 touchdowns.
They're gonna smoke the Raiders. They are. I don't know why I have the Ravens here at 1-0 on the thing. I was just gonna say they're coming off a loss. They're gonna be pissed after that near win against Kansas City, looking to take it out on a bad team, and the Raiders are a bad team. So I'm with you. Good call. I think the Ravens win this by at least 2 scores.
Yep, they're going to need Max Crosby to do more than he did last week, and Christian Wilkins to be Christian Wilkins. Maybe there'll be another fight. Raiders and Chargers had a little fight action going. Maybe there'll be another fight with the Raiders. The Raiders. Chargers and Panthers. Anything involving the Panthers is going to suck this year.
Yeah.
Can we relegate them? The Chargers are going to win this game. If you think Harbaugh even has a chance of losing to the Panthers, you're just wrong. I think
If he does, they should fire him immediately. Any coach that loses to the Panthers should be fired.
Can we see Justin Herbert sling it though a little bit though?
Yeah,
Jim?
that would be
just
nice.
Funsies, just for funsies. Come on, we like to watch.
This would be the game
Herbert.
to do so too. Like the Panthers as a whole stink. Their defense is not good. I mean, I've read the way this is going right now. I would pick a high school team to beat the Panthers at this rate.
Yeah, they stink. Maybe the team. Did you see the team with the punter that hid behind his line?
Yes.
And did a fake punt? He threw it up.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
That would 100.
That team, I know nothing about that team. They could beat the Panthers.
That would blow the Panthers' minds if they saw it. They'd be like, "How do we do that? What's? I don't know how you just punt the ball. I don't know how it got down there into their own hands again. How do we do
I'm so
that?"
startled.
Yeah. They would then then the next game they'd try to do that and they'd fucking doink the thing off the lineman's head, have it taken back for a touchdown. Like it's just such a pathetic football team.
Charger core's a little stuck there. If you plug in the old laptop so it doesn't slow down and go dinosaur mode on me. Saints and Cowboys. Maybe the Saints come out with a little fire after running up the score, even though they're a bad team on the Panthers.
This is where it comes back down to earth for the Saints.
I kind of have a feeling this game will be like close early, but then the Cowboys will win by like at least a touchdown. Like probably like 10 points. I think the Cowboys win this one like 27 to like 17 or 16 or something, something like that.
Some Cardinals Bills vibes where the Saints maybe get out to like a 14 to 3 lead and then Cowboys just blow doors afterwards.
Perhaps something like that. Perhaps.
I'm going Cowboys, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I think they steamrolled. This is where the Saints go marching in thinking that they're the cock of the walk, and then the Cowboys just absolutely destroy them because the Saints are not a good football team. Like anybody can.
Is the cock of the walk an actual expression?
Yeah, you never heard that before? Cock of the walk, roosters and whatnot. Yeah.
No, that's funny.
Thank you.
I'm
good for one or two every year where you're like, yeah, I've never even fucking heard that before. I don't know what you're talking about.
Hey man, respect.
Thank you.
Bucks and Lions. This game I am looking forward to because I think this game is going to be fun.
I came close to picking to spoil my pick. I came very close to picking the Buccaneers in this one.
I thought about it very briefly.
Nope. But I just need to see more from the Buccaneers, like offense wise. They played a below average team last week. Lions obviously played a good team, beat a good team. So plus they're at home.
That's the cool thing about the Bucks now. Like they can win ugly. They're not going to win a ton of games, but like you can count on a fun Bucks offense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every once in a while, they're an interesting team in that regard. Yeah, I like the Lions. I mean, I like the Lions a lot this year. Anybody who listened last week knows how I feel about Detroit. Colts and Packers. I think you just have to pick the Colts. There's no way with the back quarterback, the Packers beat Anthony Richardson and the Colts. But hey, Josh Jacobs is good and stuff. Maybe they run the ball down their throats. Keep it close. But I couldn't get to a point where I picked the Packers. So I'm picking the Colts to go to Lambeau and win.
As am I, for all the same reasons. Like, I mean, maybe the Packers could do what you said and run the ball down their throats, but you got to think the Colts are going to make enough plays where even if that's the case, like they'll find a way to win the game. You got to think Anthony Richardson will have more than 9 completions, and Jonathan Taylor will put together a better game than he did last week. I know, like we said, he found the end zone, but get him more involved in the passing game. This should be a very winnable game for the Colts.
Absolutely, and I'm hoping Jonathan Taylor does well for the fantasy team. Browns Jaguars. No reason to pick the Browns. It's the Jaguars. It's kind of that simple.
See, I went the Browns for a split second, then I'm like, what am I doing?
No, you didn't.
I did. I figured a bounce back game for their defense because I'm still believe in the Browns defense. Fair. And again, people know that I'm not impressed by anything the Jaguars do, but like you said, with how bad Deshaun Watson looked, like I kind of smacked some sense into myself and was like, no, Jaguars are at home. Pick the Jaguars. They're a better all-around team.
There you have it. Love it. I would be disgusted if the Jaguars lost this game, to be honest. 49ers, Vikings, Sam Darnold revenge game, Vikings. Just kidding.
I was going to say what?
49ers. 49ers are really good again. I mean, don't overthink this one.
They're always really good.
Hey, I mean, at least you still have Justin Jefferson. You're just not going to win this one.
Yeah, it's all 49ers all the way.
49ers. Seahawks, Patriots. We already said that. I have the Seahawks winning.
Boo this man.
The Patriots. Rams and Cardinals. You have the Cardinals.
I do.
I hesitantly have the Rams.
Oh, hesitantly. Okay. Why hesitantly?
Yeah, I mean,
Nakua?
No Puka, but run the ball against Arizona. Give Cooper the ball or try to get the ball to him at least 10 times, and you'll probably win. But I don't know. The Cardinals are gonna have games where they do what they did against the Bills, so they could beat the Rams.
Yeah, the
I think
Cardinals
that's
showed me a little bit last week. I think you try to get obviously Marvin Harrison Jr. more involved in this game. Maybe I think I picked him in the preseason predictions when we did the obviously the website that you can obviously pick every game on. I think I picked them to win this game just because I think they'll split with the Rams, the home and home. I'm gonna stick with it. The Nakua injury obviously factors into that as well. But just from a Rams standpoint, if they are to win this game, please get Kyron Williams involved. I don't want him on my fantasy team. If he has a big week, I would like to trade him to someone who is dumb in my league and thinks he's going to have a good year.
there you go. Oh man, conniving, conniving
Yeah.
bastard. Um,
Plus there's a couple of people that would bite like
yeah, I
that
mean
I know don't
you've
listen
told
to
me
the
about your
podcast.
leagues before, so Bengals and Chiefs. Thank God for the Bengals. They have a great spot to rebound in
Yeah.
Lambeau, or not Lambeau, in
Yeah,
Arrowhead
right.
against the Chiefs.
Yep.
Great news for the
I am
Bengals.
going against my preseason pick here in this one.
Yeah, the Chiefs are winning this game.
Absolutely. And I feel horrible about have felt bad about picking the Jets to win the division. I feel so bad about my Super Bowl pick now. Because I had Bengals over Lions. I feel like
Yeah,
an idiot.
that's tough. But
Yeah.
hey, a lot of
Not
season
great.
left, a lot of
True.
runway left.
Yep.
Um,
The Bengals also
the
suck for
plane
the first 3 weeks of the year. We know that. So
the plane hasn't taken off yet, pal. We're still on the
true.
runway.
Yep.
Steelers Broncos. God, this game should be not be on
12-9.
TV.
This game's gonna end.
Disgusting. Steelers will win this in a
Yep.
different but ugly capacity, or different but ugly fashion, like they did in the disgusting Falcons game. The Steelers will win this one on the road.
I agree.
Bears
Nothing
Texans.
else to add.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Hopefully, Caleb will play well to make this interesting of two of the higher potential young quarterbacks in the league. It is the Texans. This is where the Bears lose. Two great defenses, though.
True. Yep.
So that'll be fun. I'm quite looking forward to this game, and it is on prime time. I wonder when the last time the Texans and the Bears played each other on Sunday Night Football.
Oh God, would be a good trivia question to ask because I wouldn't even be able to throw a guess out there for you. Look that up while I give my little spiel on this because like you kind of just made the same joke about a good bounce back spot for the Bengals to go into Arrowhead. Great bounce back spot for Williams to try to play the Texans who play very well obviously in week 1 and have a lot of high expectations and again that high flying offense and good defense should be very tough for them. But maybe he surprises people. Maybe this is a game where he needs like a good team. Like I'm not going to say that the Bears underestimated the Titans by any means. But maybe this is when he gets up for Sunday Night Football to prove something. And you get a back and forth game against the Texans here.
Yeah, that would be fun. That'd be really fun. I could not find like the last time they played in Sunday
It
Night
would have been
Football,
very
unfortunately.
impressive because in the short amount of time I gave you to look that up, if you were able just to kind of pull that like a stat wizard out of nowhere. Be like, yeah, it was 1960 whatever they played each other. I don't even know if the Texans were around. They probably weren't because they were probably
No,
the Oilers or whatever they were.
Oilers. Yes. Yeah. Falcons Eagles to wrap up the week in Philly.
Close.
It is the Eagles. This game could kind of be lopsided for the Eagles. Like
I
if
would
they
have
pick
to
up where they
imagine.
left off, they could blow doors a little bit. But
Mhm.
yeah, there's no scenario where I'm picking the Falcons in this battle of birds.
Yeah. There's a couple of teams this year. I mean, obviously for different standards, like the Panthers and the Giants, but like a couple of games where you're like, I don't have any reason to pick these teams, and the Falcons right now are one of those teams.
Yeah, no, won't do it. Any closing thoughts, Ryan?
No, just hope for another good week of football. Obviously, great to have football back. Again, good to see the Patriots are maybe going to put together a season for us. I know it's early, so I don't want to get too high or too low. But again, like we started off the show with, very good reason for some optimism with how the team looked in week 1. Hope we can continue that into week 2 against the Seahawks.
Agreed, good buddy. That's gonna wrap it up for episode 208 of Salvaggio and Cratty. Thank you for listening, new and old listeners. You can find us on Twitter at Mike_Cratty, at Ryan_Salvaggio, and the show at Salvaggio and Cratty Pod. On TikTok, throw a name into the search bar. Spotify and Apple, you can rate and review there. You can follow as well. Full press coverage on Twitch and YouTube, Podbean, Podchaser, all that good stuff. Full press radio for live streams on Twitter as well. So we'll see you next week. Stay safe, stay healthy, be nice to people, enjoy the football this week, and we will talk to you next time. See you later. Bye-bye.